Okay guys, for this video on the MPC 2.12, we'll come right here and show you that after hitting About This Mac. Okay, there you go, 2.12. So this video is all about it. I'm going to use keyboards. Got that? And this is just the keys on my MacBook Pro. You'll see it here. I'm set there to keys. I'm going to go here now and go to pads. And first I got to go back to track 1, which is right here. And now they become pads. It's a pretty long video covering a lot about how to use the software. Any questions you got, leave at the bottom. And please subscribe. It's going to help us grow the channel so I can do a lot more videos. The more subscribers we get, the better it is to keep making videos for YouTube. If you got someone who's into it too, let them know. We need as many subscriptions as we can to move forward. So, without further ado, let's get busy. Matter of fact, let me turn the Maschine off. We're going to make up beats like this somewhat, but just simple stuff, not this complicated for you, but it'll be fun. Now, this is the view you're going to have of your MPC2 software when it loads up. This is going to be it right here. Now, you'll see this, and you can see here we have project templates on top. And those are all the templates. Like we have an empty project, open it up here. Here we have the demos. And I go to the end here, and there's no empty project here, right? And then here we have open a recent project. These are recent projects I've been doing or working on. I can load them up quickly and then work on them and actually put them away also. But when I get through working on them, they will appear down here in the order of what I did last. So this is the last one I did. This is furthest from that point. So it makes it easy for me to find a project, and you too as well. Now, if I come and open up a project up, I may want to open up a template, just get some stuff to work with, to play with, right? So I'll come to here, I'll say I want to do trap. I'll double click that and it loads up too. I can also press the load project button, it will load as well. We got a progress bar here, we'll see what's loading up, and here it is, it's all loaded. Now, once it does load up, you will see the pads right here. We have 16 pads. Here's a bank. And you'll see is 1 through 16 here for our banks. So I can hit the pad here. And you'll see it rise up here. And I get right there. See that? That's all the pads. Here's 16, and here's 1. Those are 16 pads. Now, what's really cool, too, is that I have a browser open here, this window here. I can close it off, too. And now we see a full view of what's going on. Now we can see we have 22 measures. Now, if I don't like this, I can go back here and say, well, look, I want to check this out with the actual demo tied to it. This is simple enough. I'll come here to New Project. It comes right here. Okay, I'm looking for this trap thing, right? So here's the trap right here. That's the one that matches it. And then we see that right here. I will click on this one. Matter of fact, I'll click on it, get the red border here. Now I'll load it by pressing the load project button. And now we're loading. It's our progress bar. And we're loading the samples up. And the sequence. And this is it right here. To play it back, I go up to the top, up here to the top right here, and press play. I can bring the audio down here. And just stop it right there. I can press stop to stop it here and play here. And play from the top right here. So to check out a lot of these demos is great if you're first starting out, just to see how the software works. Of course, I can see what the sounds are here. Everything's here. Now, I can also come back to here. Let's new project. Let's don't save. Now we're back here again. If I have a recent project I've been working on, I can come, let's see, Got a recent projects I'm working on. Let's go back to here. Let's try this one. It loads up. I double clicked it again. It loads up. That's pretty cool. Instantly loads. We got no problem with it. And if I want to just go back here again, I just go, well, you know, I want an empty project. Forget this. I'll come here, I'll press empty project. And now we're fully loaded up. Now, the first thing you should probably do once you get started, and you should do it probably once a week or something at least, is to check your software. I'm going to be coming to here, I'll do like check for updates. I'll click here. Whoa, you are running the latest version of MPC software. Now, before you get started, the first thing you need to know is how to use your browser. So I'm going to move my cursor down here. And here in the bottom, you know, of course, this little question mark here means help. So if I come to here, it's my help. So this is the quick help. And if I press H, that's on. Now, if I get right here, this is my file browser. So I have file browser right here. Here I have my expansion browser. And here we have the media browser. Let's check this out. So I'm going to go right here to my file browser. And now my file browser opens up. Now this is just my browser. And this is my media browser. Let's start with our file browser. Now here in my file browser, I like to search for items on my hard drive that I can use in my session. Meaning projects, sequences, could be programs, presets for effects, samples, and then the folders that have everything in them. So you'll see here, for example, we have folders on top of here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so these folders are set up to be at a location on my hard drive that I have certain files I want to look at always, or just files I keep in place. Now, for example, I put my cursor there, you get to the help thing again, it says AKAI, right? And so I can come to here, it says AKAI, which is cool, but you'll notice here, this gives me the location right here below these filters, where I have project, sequence, program, preset, sample, and all. So it says AKAI, that's cool. So it comes here and we'll see this. This is what's in that folder. The AKAI folder has essentials, MPC beats, MPC. Now another good feature here is I can do a search, but what I prefer to do here also is to go right to here, I have browser options. And this is the beauty of having that help button down here set up, that way you can see what's going on. Browser options, I click right here, and when I browse, it'll show me file size. It'll show me modified date. It'll show me created date, included subfolders, and hide project data folders. So I can either turn these off. I turn this off here. You see what happens in modified. Let's get modified gone. Let's go to get modified out. So I just got rid of size and modified. Date created doesn't bother me, but I do keep it on because sometimes I'm looking for a file that I may have done a track maybe 2 or 3 days ago or a month ago. You never know. So I'll come down to here and I'll just say, okay, I'm in Essentials. I open Essentials up and we have these folders and the subfolders here, right? That's kind of cool. So I like that. So I come to here. We have effects. Nothing's in effects. I go back up one. So see that we can go up and down from here as well. I go to documents. Nothing there. I go back up one. That's good. I go to frameworks. Nothing's here. I go back up one. I go back up again. Let's go to MPC beats. I go to here. I see my resources here, right? I can go to, let's see, content. Let's open content up. MIDI control scenes. MIDI, oh, this is chromatic scales. So we see we have content here, and this is for controller. That's content. We have progressions. I can put progressions in here. MIDI learn is here. ARP patterns, synthesizers. A lot of stuff is stored within the system on our hard drives, but we have access to it through our file browser. Okay, so now we're going to look at these other folders here. As you can see, I have the folders I selected, and I have items in each one of these folders. I can always change anytime I want to change to also, and find another folder and put it right there as well. Now, these folders have stuff in them. Like for example, this is user shared chromatic fire library samples drums. Now, of course, these are from a different company, but they're still samples. So when I look at this, I have program selected here, right? So I see no program. So I need to come down to here. I want to see samples. I can't. I just see folders. You can see, all you're going to see is folders here. So we have no way to filter out what's in that folder. So I open the folder up first, and now I see there are no projects, no sequences, no programs, presets, or, well, we do have samples, and that's it. And that's all we have. When I select all, it shows you what's in there. All we have in here are just samples. I can click on this. These are just samples. Pretty simple stuff. Now I can go also, let's say, back to another folder here. Let's try DrumGroups. And here we have DrumGroups. Now I'm already in this section of all, so I can see everything that's going to be in there. And I come to here. Now I can go, let's say this folder here, I see we have waves and Rex files. Open up Rex, let's open up Electro, let's see, this is what? Turn my volume up here. These are Rex files. Control my volume here, of course. I can stop it here easily. And so I can hear Rex files too. This is really important to realize, because you can get some Rex files, which I have actually from Reason. But you want to know what you can play, and Rex files will work here too as well. And this essentially is my file browser right here. And that's how we use it. Okay, so next I want to look at my expansion browser. So as you can see, once I put my cursor here, it says expansion browser. I can select the X key, which I'll do right now. And there we go. Expansion browser is open. I can also close it as well with the same key. Open or close it. Makes no difference. And so here I can see an expansion pack and look at it or load something in. So for example, this is Pad Thai Deluxe. And this is our expansion browser. And I can see here I have programs, samples, sequences, and projects. Only one project's in there. See that? So I can come to here actually and say I want to look at a program. I come to here. If I want to hear these programs, I can come right to here. Can turn it off too as well. Turn it off as well there. So if I want to load this in, it's pretty simple. I will go to sequences. That's just the program. If I load the program in, I will only load the sounds for the program, but not the sequences that make that program work. So I'll come here. I know it's boom bap. And I know I heard this one right here. Now if I touch that, you won't hear it at all, right? So I want to load it in. Let's select this again. I'll just double click that. And now it loads in to the system. Still loading. Now once it does load and everything's in there, of course, we're back to the bright view, I can go to here and sort of like move this part of my grid in using this triangle right here. And I can see the entire range of it. Next, I can come and play. I'll press play up here. Stop it. The samples are still playing, but you get the idea of what we have here. Whoa, it's pretty long. But it's easy to load stuff in. And if I want to get some of these sounds, I can do that too as well. But it's always cool to listen back to what's going on in the project. Let's mute that real quickly. So, what I can do also, I can go to here. And this is my media browser. And once I get to my media browser, I have the ability to see all my expansions. So I see all my expansions here, right? This is every one of the expansions I have already. And what I can do is I can look at everything from every single expansion pack. For example, you'll now see Programs, I can see presets, none. Projects, all the projects appear here. All the sequences appear here. All the samples appear here. So this is kind of cool. I can just look at everything and load what I want at any point in time, really. And it helps me to actually find stuff I'm looking for, and it'll help you also to look for basses, drums, snares, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it here. For example, these are basses, these are drums, come with drums, there are drums right there. Now the drums load, okay? We got percussion, we got guitar. I have 808, acoustic, bells, block, bongo, everything's here. Rim shot, kick, hi-hat, everything's here, including snare. Let's go to snare right here. And so how many snares we got in there? This is going to be ridiculous. A nice, huge amount of snares. That's the beauty of having the expansion packs. So I can go back, look through an expansion pack, load up a sound, or hear a sound back, and then sort of like scroll down, find something else. That's the beauty of having this expansion pack, and then having a media browser helps you to search for whatever you want. And of course, we can go from sample to sequence to project to preset to program, but there's no all selection for filter. Got that? It's pretty simple to do. Now you can also do a search right here. I'm looking for 808 drums. I can say, well, I want to get 808 drums. Pretty simple to do. I just go right here, and it starts to populate with the number of 808 drums that are in the program section because I'm in program. If I go to sequence, then I have 808 still selected here, and my 808 is still in my search option here. I see a bunch of 808 stuff. And it's all right here for me. Such an easy way to operate, and plus there are so many sounds once you have a third amount of expansion packs, and you can go right to here too and scroll down. What's down here? And everything says 808. So it's a great way to look for sounds within the media browser. Now, of course, I can come exit this out too. If I want to exit this out, boom. Exit all out right there, right? And we're back to where we started from. Programs and stuff are right here. Go to here. Now we see all programs. So it's all available, but one thing for sure, when you X this out, you might still just see 808. So what you want to do is go to here, clear that out, of course, and now we can just search what we want to search for. Let's search for projects, and we have projects here we can search to as well. So it's great to look through the media browser to look for other sounds you might want to use in your project. Now, next I want to look at the undo history, as you can see right here, which is right next to our media browser button in the lower right-hand corner here. And I can have the undo history. I can do an undo history. So, for example, I come to here, I press Command Z, and I can undo the history. I can press Shift Command Z, and I can redo the history. And keep going further down and down. Totally. Now, I can see this because it's here on the right-hand side where the browser was. But you can also just, let's say if I close this up. It's closed now. And I want to see it. I can just press Shift Command H, and I can see the undo history right here. And I can scroll through it, find something I want to go back to. I may have made a mistake or something. I can say I want to go back up to any other point here. I can say I get back to here or someplace else. You know, I can see I can go this far so far. And so I can just say undo, 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 and keep going back up here and get to a history that I think is where I should be at. And that's how we use undo history. Let's close this out here. Now, next we have here, this is project notes. This is right next to undo history, undo, redo. And I get right here and I got project notes. I can take notes. I can put the title, the artist. I can put the original artist, the album, the year, everything can go right here, and copyrights. Keep your notes here. And this is a great thing to do actually when you're actually using tracks or using samples. Let's say, for example, you want to remember where those samples are from. Put all your information right here. It's a great way to keep up with it in case you do get to sell this project and it's a hip-hop track or whatever kind of music you're selling it for. You'll know what's in there. Particularly when you're doing a film score, you want to know where all these beats and stuff come from and the samples. So it's all there for you and it's written out in your project notes. Now, next to that here we have, this here is the project info. Like, for example, you'll see right here, we have project and samples, right? And that's right next here to this window. I can drag this window in a little bit more too, and we'll see more of it right there. See, this is right here now. So now it appears here on our right-hand side as well, not just here in our view. So for example, project stuff, I can pull it out from there. See, we got a different view here, but we see it here in the project section of our right-hand browser. I can pull it back in again right here. But you get the idea, you can see it better from here. You can also come in here. Let's say you don't want some samples you got in here. I can just get rid of some samples. What's this sample here? You might not want that sample. I come to here. Is it anywhere else in our system? We don't know, right? But we do if we see where it's at. If it is, I'll use it. If not, I won't use it. But it's good to know where you can actually get rid of samples in here, and you'll see it better than seeing it from right here. Now, next, right here, we have, this is MIDI monitor options. So I can monitor the MIDI input and the MIDI output from right here. See one of my MIDI options from right here. Then also, I have here, this is MIDI learn. I can use Shift Command L, and I'm right there. So Shift Command L, I'm out, I'm in, I'm back there. And what I have here, I can pick, let's say, a AKAI MPK. In this case, I have an AKAI MPK Mini, and I have a MIDI map I have here for all the pads and for other parameters as well. I can have parameters for pad banks, Q links here as well. So I can use my MPK like an MPC to work the MPC2 software. Now this works for almost any device pretty much. You put it right here, any MPK device, you can put it here and you can map it out. Now also, this is just global. I can also just map it out for the project itself. Now sometimes when you're working with the software, you may have a problem. I don't know if you do or don't now, but if you do, you just come right here and you'll see this is our feedback button. Now this is the feedback button, and you do use this button to contact AKAI. So I'd come here, provide feedback, I go like this, I can go, yeah, I like the project, there's some problems here, you know, whatever it is. But I can also come back in here and say, well, feature suggestions and report a bug. So I can come to here, let's go to report a bug. And so this box comes up like this right here. For any one of those features, it's called, thanks for your feedback here. You tell them what the problem is, and they will help you with that problem. Hopefully you get a letter back over, I don't know how long a period of time here, but it doesn't say here currently, but maybe in the future it will. But this will help you get some information about your problem. And the first thing I want to do here is sort of build up a drum kit. I can get started building up a little track or something. So what I'm going to do first is probably go to my browser. I'm going to go to my media browser and press B on my computer, and we have it right here. And the reason why I'm using this is because everything's here. I can come here and use a program. I can look at some projects. I can look at sequences. I can look at samples. I can always come here to projects and look at something and say, what's this one here? I don't know what this is, right? I can hit it back. I may want to hear if that's going to work for me in a project. I don't want to hear that. I come to here where it says speaker or autoplay and cut it off. I can come to here, turn it off instantly. I may want to find out what kits work well for me, right? And I can also come here for a sequence and load that particular kit back up. That sequence will have the files I need to use. Or I can come to here under sounds and I can pick a sound. I can even search for sounds. Let's say, for example, here, these are all vocals. Let's turn this back on here. Those are all leads. Those are all lead sounds. Whoa, that's kind of like real horror. So what I want to do is look for some drums. So I can have all the drums right here. I have genres here. So let's say if I want to look up R&B. And if I do, I can get R&B drums right here. And I got claps, snares, or whatever here, right? And then that's probably what this is right here. So I come to here, and I want to listen to this. Let's turn this on. So I get a whole bunch. If I pull it down from here, I will see tons of samples. And I don't want to go all day doing this one, right? So if I do, I may go down to here, listen to some snares. So I'll make this easier myself. I'm going to probably go back up again. Ooh, turn this off right there. Boom. And I want to come look for 808. The classic. There's 808 right here, so I can get a clap. Turn this back on. I love a clap. I can drag it right to a pad. Once I do, it appears here. I want you to notice something. You can see this audio level appear right here for the outputs and right here for the program. There's a little king hat here. That's my master output. So let's go into the main output 1 and 2. This is the program. And this is my program right here, program 1. You'll see program 1 appears right here. Now, I'll hit this again. That appears there. We don't see it here in the sample pool. So if you come to here and select all, now I see that sample in the sample pool. Also, if I hit the sample here, right there, you don't see it here as an audio file coming through the system. And this has our main output. If I hit the pad, we see it here. If I hit the sample that's in the browser, you don't see that audio level is not there. It doesn't appear here in the master, nor does it appear in the program. So when you hear sounds here, they aren't going to sound as loud as they do when they're inside the MPC software. It's just how it works. So I want to find some more stuff here. I want to get like probably, ooh, this is pretty cool. I'll put it here. I'll just drag it directly into my sample pool right here. And it appears right there. So that's a cool way to get your sounds in. And what I want to do probably is look for some of these sounds. Come to here, hit a sound. Use my up and down key to get something I like. That's what I like too. So I'll put it in here. In my sample pool. Back to here. Like this one here, a hi-hat. That's cool too. So I'm just adding sounds in here, right? Which makes it easier for me to work. I just pick the sounds and I build my sample pool up to get what I want to use. Now I probably want to find something else, so I can just scroll down. And that's the beauty of having this here for the search. All these 808 sounds. And there are tons of them here. I can come to here, I'll see tons of them here. So I want to look down, see what I got here. And look for some more if I want to get some more. This sounds good for a bass. So I'm just adding sounds in here forever, it might seem like. But I add a lot of sounds in. If I want to put them on the pad, it's very simple. But if I come to hit program 1, you'll see program 1 has been made. Now, when you first turn on your MPC, you will have this thing called program 001. And that's going to be in there. So here, once I put a pad or put a sound on a pad, what happens is it selects the major program that's available. And okay, so that's the new program we got. We're going to put it there. Now, when I have this program in, what I tend to do too is I come back into here, I right click and I say rename this thing. Rename it. I call this like a new kit. Press do it. And now it has a new name there. Of course, the sample remains there. So I'll go back to my sample pool now. Once I get enough samples, I'll say, what's this one here? So I come here to where that little thing right there looks like a little waveform. You'll see once you put your cursor there, it turns into a speaker. And you can hear these sounds back that way. So I come to here. I'll put this one here on this pad. I get a kick drum. I can just kick the drum. I'll put it on this pad. So now I'm trying to build my kit up, right? So I want to get the hi-hats in here. So we're going to close one. I'll put here. Put my open one over here. I'm gonna get the snare drum I like. There's one here. That'll go right there. So I'm just building my kit up. Okay, so next we have here, we've got this is the Boom Bap right here. And so I like this program. And so what I will do, if I see a program I like, I will probably just click on it a couple times there and load that program in. But I won't load the sequence for that program in. I just want to load this program in because I want to use some of these sounds actually. I mean, like some of these sounds here, like that bass drum. Now, sometimes I won't like it all, right? So I mean, I'm not too sure I like that sound, right? So what I'll tend to do also, I'll run through some of these sounds, and I'll try to pick out what I like and what I don't like at some point, right? So I'll come through here and I'll just say, well, look, I want to see what the project is. My project right here now. Got a garbage can here, right? So I can go like, I don't want this one here, so I can probably garbage that one out. I can purge unused samples or the unused samples, or I can delete all samples. I just want to purge one of these samples, so I'm not doing that. I'm just going to purge unused samples, no. So let's unclick that one there. Delete all samples, nope, not doing that either. So you can see the options here for the garbages. I can't just delete one sound, so let's go to here, close this out. So what I will do though, I come to here, and I can edit, save, or delete. Are you sure you want to delete this one sound? It says there, this sample is used from that kit. Okay, delete it. Now that sound won't be inside this kit anymore. Meanwhile, this will delete unused sounds, this garbage can here, and it will delete all sounds. So I've got everything lined up here. I've got my pads lined up, figured out what I want to use for some samples, and then I'll probably close the browser out here, and that's gone. And now what I want to do is probably trigger these sounds. Now, if I don't have an MPC and I'm just going to use my computer to start out, I can go up here to the upper right-hand corner here, and you'll see here we have where I can turn my keys into several different elements. In this case, it's off. They're just keys for my laptop that I'm using right here, or your computer would just be the keys. If I click here again, my keys turn into pads. So in this case, I've got ZXCV, right? For 1, 2, 3, 4. Then ASDF for 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. And as I hit them, you'll notice too, also these pads have a red border around them at the same time, right? So I know what pads I'm using. So I can actually use my keyboard as a pad system, right? And so that goes away from Z to V, and I can do up top 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gives me 16 pads I can use, or 16 keys that I actually hear on my computer keyboard. It's kind of cool. And so to start off, I'm going to get a tempo. I need a tempo to start off with. I think it's going to be good. So I can come to here and turn the metronome on, as you can see here. And that's just Shift plus M. So I'm going to press Shift and M. And the metronome's on or off right there. Pretty cool. So I'll put the metronome on. I can press play right here. And now we hear the metronome. Now, if I want to slow the metronome down before I actually make a beat, I may want to get a nice speed I like, right? So I can come to here with my cursor and tap here for a tempo. I can turn it off actually right here. Let's say, what's my tempo going to be? Think in my head, then tap it out. Do like 3 taps. All right, cool. I do those 3 taps, and now it's 81.52. Right, that's pretty cool. So I may come here also and just go just 82. So I'll come here, I'll click on that. I'll do, let's say 85. And I'll press enter. And now I have 85 totally. So I can actually double click here, put the number in, it'll be there. I can also use this up and down arrow as a cursor here and go back and forth to figure out what my real tempo would be like by just nudging it up a little bit to move in smaller increments right there. It's pretty easy to do. And so I just tap my tempo in that way. Now, once I've tapped the tempo and I like what I've got going on, and the metronome works, I'll just press play here. So play the drum. So I can just tap my key here, Z, and play it. So what I like to do too also as well while I'm doing this is to make sure, is my sync going to be on? I got my timing correction set up here for 16 notes, and that goes on right there. And that's pretty simple, as you can see right there. That's just timing correction. So I can just press 0 for that, on or off. Press the 0 and that turns it on or off. Now I'm ready to make up the beat. So I'm ready to go and make sure I have everything here I'm going to use. I'm not going to use pad perform right now, so I'll probably pull this out. So this is cool. We learned that we can actually pull stuff out of this window right here. And next I want to start to record. So I'm going to press this record button here. Now I'm going to make sure, of course, we have our metronome right here, right? So our metronome, I have it clicked on. So it's going to play. The counting's going to be playing whether it's record or in play, right? And then here we have enabled, so we have record and play also here. My rate's going to be quarter note, and the sound is going to be this MPC tick sound, and the output's going to be out of 1 and 2. That way I know I can hear it. Just want to make sure that the metronome is set up. So now what I do is try to play with the keys on my keyboard. So I'm going to come here and press play. Okay, I'm recording. Pretty good. So next I'm going to record a snare drum. So you can see now the snare drums are off. And so sometimes you're playing with the keys, you're not used to it, this will happen. So what you need to do is know how to correct anything. So here you see this is like a big note here, right? Of course, this is a big note. That's the duration I've held those keys down for. This is a short duration right here. So what I want to do is grab this key. Let's turn this off here. And once I click on this, it maintains a border. I'm going to drag it to right here. And now it's going to be on the 4. So I'm going to do 2 and 4 to my snare drums. Now I want to come in here also and sort of make that file bigger. See that? I can actually grab it, use this cursor here, and make that little thing there a little bit bigger. I want to make it just big enough to fit that size of that note. I can do the same thing. Hell, listen back first. Okay, there you go. So you know that's pretty off right there, right? So what I want to do is I want to grab this one and put this one over here. Right, and that's until I put one down or just put one in automatically. I'll click right there, I put one in. That's pretty simple. And notice the velocities are all the same here, right? So they're all right at maximum velocity level right there, which is pretty cool. Now the reason why they're fitting in, of course, was I have time correction on right here, right? This is time correction, and so it's going to make sure everything's going to flow within a 16th note. I come to here, I can pick this right here. Now, I can put hi-hats in here too. I may not want to just do the hi-hats that way. I might just want to do hi-hats using 8th notes. So it's pretty simple. I'll come back into here. I'll select 8 notes here. I'll select note repeat. Now I'll just hit my hi-hat. Like that. I'm just holding the button down, right? Holding my C button down, because that's the right here, right? It's my actual note. And so I'm going to go back here to do, let's see, record. Boom. No stopping now. I want to record though. So I want to record on this track here, right? So we want to record, but in this case, I'm going to do overdub. If I press record, what'll happen, I'll re-erase everything. So I just want to overdub, just add something to this. And now I'm ready to go. I'll press this here. Now let's stop that. You want to take it from the top. So I want to go to here, overdub. I want to take it from the top. I'm just holding down the C key. Take my finger off, and now it's playing back this beat. It's pretty simple. That's how we can make a beat up real easily in the MPC software. Now I want to add some more to this beat. So let's see, I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to press, not record, but overdub. If I press record, I'm going to erase everything in here. So I'll press overdub. I want to play from the start and try it again. Let's put my 808 in like that. Okay, cool. We got that in there. Now you notice here too, what I did here, I changed to 60, no triplets. So this way I can add what I just added in so it fit in perfectly. So next, I want to probably do that somewhat here in the beat too as well. So I'm going to do it to this drum right here. And I've got this selected. Once I tap on that drum, all the drum events here are all selected. And you can tell by the white border around them. So now I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to try and add to it. It's going to do overdub. And from the top. Okay, I've added parts in. So cool. I got the beat going on. I've added parts in. And what we're doing here, we're creating a sequence. And what we want to do next is probably name the sequence. So the sequence appears right here. I can name it. I double click there. I can name this sequence. And we'll just call this the beat. Right there. Right? I'll name the sequence. I'm going to press return right here. And now sequence 1 is called the beat right there. And of course, my program is new kit. That's how we can get our beat going on. Now, sometimes too, what you want to do is get your levels right. So, for example, I got these drums playing here. And so I can change the levels here. Like, this is the bass drum. I selected it here. And now we have our cue link here. It's at the screen. This is the program overall sound, right? The entire program. This is the playhead going across from the beginning to the end of this sequence. I can add swing values here. You hear that swing value change a little bit with that little beat there. Current track is 1. Sequence tempos, where I can change the tempo here too as well. So I can use this cueing section to change some parameters that are here. I'll stop the sequence now. Now suppose I want to get the levels right. I might not want these levels to be the same way. I may come down to here and I want to look at the program parameters. I come here, program parameters, and you'll see there's volume, there's send all here. I can select the drum sound, and we have different parameters for each drum sound. What I want to do here is get that differently. I want to get something else different to happen with that. And so what I want to do is look at this as a pad scene. It's pad scene. It's the level for this pad. I come to here. That's that pad. This is the level for that pad. This is the panning for that pad. As you can see here. Here's pad solo, pad mute. I can mute it. I turn it here. The pad's muted. You see the mute sign appear here. I'll turn this back down again to here. And now it's unmuted. I can solo it too, like press this up here, and I'm soloing that. I can turn this down to here and unsolo it. And this is our pad scene. Let's say pad parameters. So here I have a level for all the pads. So I can play these pads back. I may want to change the level of something here. I'll bring this 808 down a little bit, maybe a little bit more. So I see that. I got to raise it up 2 again. So I got the hi-hats here. So I can change the levels of each one of these drums and get them to the where I like how they feel. And so I use the cueing section for that. You don't have to rush anything when you're recording. You can just press play here. As I mentioned, I'm going to click that on, let it run, and practice parts in without recording them in here. So like a part, I come to here. So I like those parts gotta go. Get rid of them. So I come to here, I'll just do like this. I select them. I'll press delete, they're gone. I can just let it run and play. Okay, I'm gonna record it now. Pretty simple to record. I tap it in. It's still playing. I can keep going on. So this one's a little bit too rushed right here, right? So I know it's rushed. I can just go to here. Let's go back in here. I clicked it and get back, and I move it one space over. Right there. Now I'll play it from the top. So I get the idea. You get the idea. It's pretty simple to do this. It's not that hard. Now, once I've got everything lined up, I want to save this project, right? So I'll come to here to File, and I'll say Save Project. So Save Project comes up, and of course I want to save it in this area, and I want to name this project for one. So I'll come to here, and as you can see, it's .xp, right? So what I want to do in this case is get back here and call it, I'm going to call it Workflow. Workflow, that's cool. I want to save this. So no new folder, just save it where it's at. Save. Okay, it's saving it in progress. And now it's called Workflow. You'll see it right here at the top of the window. And I've saved my project with this one sequence. Now I want to edit the sequence. So let's show you how we do this. We go here to edit. We can go right down to here and we have parameters we can actually edit for every sequence. So I can clear the entire sequence. And I come to here. I got sequence here, beat 1. I want to say clear it. And now it's cleared. Nothing's there. So let's go to back here to undo that. And it's back. Let's go to edit. Back to sequence. Let's look at half length. And now you see it's 2 bars. You can tell it's 2 bars right here. Let's go here and undo that. Undo that. Boom, we're back again. It says 4 bars. You still see 2 bars. So let's drag it in here again, and I can see all 4 bars. Now, of course, this is sequence, the beat. It's 4 bars. It's 85 BPM. That's 85 beats per minute. And here we have a loop here. It's a loop. If I turn this off, it's not going to loop. It's going to end, right? And right here, this is track number 1 that we played on. This is all the track right here. Everything that's all this data here, the tracks, all these events are within that track. And then here we have input ports. All MIDI channels are open. We have monitor, auto monitor, what's here on the track. And we have the key range from C2 to G8. Now what we can do next is that I can come back here to sequence, and I can double the length, of course. Let's double length this time. And we got it at 8. What's now? It's 8 bars. Exactly, 8 bars. Let's undo that. So it's pretty easy to edit the sequence. Let's go back in here. Now we can insert a blank bar. I can insert a blank bar. Let's insert a blank bar we're at. Number of bars is 1. This is the time signature. I can do it before the 4th bar. Well, how about we do it before the 3rd bar? If I come down to here, I'll do it 2nd bar, and let's do it. And look at that, it put a blank bar right here on the 2nd bar. You see that? Let's undo that. So we can add a blank bar. And we can get rid of it too. Edit sequence. Let's go down again. Edit sequence right here. So I can delete bars. I can insert and delete. So I can delete the first bar. First bar, last bar is 1. Do it. And so now I'm down to 3 bars. The first bar is gone, as you can see right there. And you can see it says here 3 bars right there for the length of this sequence. Let's go back here. And I want to undo that, obviously. And we're back to 4 bars right here. We can do and undo so quickly, but this is great to show you how it works. Let's go do edit. I'm going to edit sequence, and here I do go. Let's see, I insert bars. I took one, I can copy the bars. I can copy these bars. So let's copy the bars. Okay, I want to copy bars 1 through 4. And this is it. I want to paste them somewhere. So copy from there and paste it to beat 1. I'm pasting after bar 4. I want to place it there. I'll make 4 copies. Whoa. Okay, let's try that. Merge or replace. Let's replace. Boom, replace. And so now we got 20. Whoa. I made 4 copies. That was 16, plus I already have the first 4. That's 20. Now if I move this triangle in to the left, you'll see, wow, I got all this stuff. It even shows you all this was copied over. So I can copy bars and make a sequence either shorter or longer. Either way, it's really good to do this. And I can undo that pretty simply by pressing undo. And I'm back where I started from again. Let's do this again. Let's go back here. We're going to sequence one more time. And here I am in sequence. And we did this copy bars. I can copy the events, which is pretty simple stuff here. The events. I can pick events I want to copy. I can say, okay, this is the beat. And then I have track 1. I want to copy all events. And I can select which events I want to copy. Copy only selected events. So I can maybe want to copy something like maybe a keyboard. If I have one, let's say I want to copy a hi-hat to someplace else, I could do that. I can pick what I want to copy that over to another track. I can see right here. Let's go back up here, copy all events. And this is beat 1, and I have beat 1 here. And paste it someplace. So I can paste it someplace else. I can copy all events from here up to 5. I can paste it, let's say, at 5, directly on 5. And I can make a number of copies I want to take that event and paste it to. And the event could be any event I want to select. Here's track 1, right? So I can select any event within track. Let's cancel this. Next, I come here to edit. I go to sequence. And the common thing to do in a sequence is to copy the sequence. So I'll copy this sequence. And I want to take this sequence and put it on 2. Let's go to 2. Right here, I already had it there. Let's do it. We're on 2. And 2's here. Let's increase to, let's go to here to 2. Let's go to sequence. Let's go here, and I want to double the length of the sequence. Now I've got sequence 2 is 8 bars. And sequence 1, right here, is 4 bars. So I've copied that sequence. That's a clever thing always to do, be able to copy a sequence. You may want to make it longer, add some parts to it, and have this one be the verse, that one be the chorus. It's a great way to actually get everything done faster. And here we go back again to sequence, and here we are right here. And we got copy sequence, copy track. I can transpose the sequence to a certain key, if it's like keyboard or bass line. I can erase the entire sequence. Okay, events double speed. I can do that double speed right here. Let's do events double speed. Let's play this back. Whoa, boom. Let's undo that. But you get the idea. Let's go back here to edit. We're going to go to sequence. And now we want to go down there to sequence right there. Let's do events half speed. Let's play this back. Okay, that's really too slow. But you get the idea. Let's go here again and do undo. Now I want to look at some track edit features. We'll go here to track edit, and we're going to go right here to track, and I can select the track, select all, everything selected right there. I can go to here, edit, go to track again, and deselect. I can go to edit again, and then here what I want to do next is go to clear. So I can clear a track. Done that before, so let's cancel that. Now next what I want to do is sort of like explode a track. I'll come to here, and then we're going to see here under track, we can explode a track out. Before I show you this, which explodes right there, I want to show you something else too, that here I am, I have just one track. And I click right here, we see we just have one track. Number 2 is empty, so nothing else is here. So what I'm going to do next is go to here, and go to track, and go to explode. Okay, so now I'll go back in here again, and you see exploded tracks out. It put every sample that's available on a separate track. Now this way I can actually turn off a track. So let's say, for example, I play this back. I'm back here on top. I want to turn off this track here, track number 1. So I have the track here, and I want to mute this one track. To do that, I'll come to here on the track view. Now here in track view, I have the track going on here. And if I play it back, you hear it playing, right? So stop that. I'll come to here. I'm going to press, whoops, mute. Not solo, but mute right there. There you go. I'm in mute. And I'll play it back again. You still hear everything. You still hear everything, but I muted the track. But what I did do was it exploded the track out, so every sound now is on a separate track. They will still play. I'll play from the top again. I'll go to right here, though. Play from the top. And I can actually mute individual sounds now. I can sort of mix the tracks up. Now, I can not only just mix them up. Let's say I want to add effects to them. So I could add reverb or something, or some delay to like the hi-hats or something. And then when I mix them up, that sounds in an individual output. And we'll see that here. As we run through it here, we'll see here, of course, these are our individual sounds, and they are already separated. But if it's a separate track, and track by itself, then we get an idea of what we're doing. So here I can come to here, and these are tracks, right? And that's MIDI tracks, it says right there. Let's go ahead and scroll up a little bit more. Here we go. And so this track, the first track, is empty. So this is track 1. And the other tracks here, as you can see right here, are up 2 as well. But now I have these sounds separated. So I can come to here and play the track back. Oops, go back to here and play the track back totally. And we got the track separated here. And these are our tracks. Track 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's go back to the beginning here. And that's how we can use track edit and take a sequence and explode it out so that every sound in that sequence, or actually in that track that we exploded out from, we can put each sound on a separate track. Now in this lesson, I want to talk about the drum group. Now you know right here, this is a drum group, right? And of course right here, this is a key group. And this is a plugin, this is a MIDI channel, this is a clip, and this is a CV. So this drum group is where our drums are. And so we can sort of fix these drum sounds, do all kinds of stuff to them. And now once you've got that, it's pretty cool. So I'll play back this new track here. And we're going to sort of mess with the drums somewhat here. Or this whole, actually, all the samples here that are in this drum group, we can actually do anything we want to them. So what we're going to do now is look at this in a way where I can hit the pads. And you know already, here we have everything in a separate group. Snare, the kick, the percussion, secret agent, hi-hat, the bass, and the woo. That's 7 tracks. And since they're all separated, we have 7 separate tracks. So what I want to do here is go to the drum group. I go to my drum group right here. And once I do, I can see the drum group. Of course, I can see my pads here too, and this is pretty cool. So I can have the editor. Here's the editor. Pull this out. See that? I'll pull it back in. That's the editor for the group. And this is the project. And here's my Q link. I can pull the Q link for a minute and get more room. We can see more now of the drum group. The pads still remain here, triggering, and we have the program for the sounds. So here you'll see in this drum program, we have an overall global parameter setup for polyphony, semi, and fine for tuning here. We have the pad, see this level, where a pad is tuned. I'll go back to this hi-hat. The hi-hat's lower, and this one's lower than that, and that's loud, of course, and that kick drum's pretty loud. And we can see that as it changes here. So now also, if I come to here and hit this one snare drum, I can also change this here, the panning, and now you can hear that it's gone to the right. I'll bring this back to center position. And of course, it's back where it should be. So as we know, the volume and the panning can change. Now here we have simultaneous play. This is pretty simple stuff. I can hit this note here, and I can play something else. So this is a hi-hat, well, this is a snare drum, and I come to here, and I want to play a hi-hat along with it. So I'll come to here, I'm in A bank, and I want to play the sound that's here at number 3. And so they'll play simultaneously at the same time. And you can hear that. I can even go, let's say, to number 7. And you hear it even more. Now I can turn it off. It's off. So I can simultaneously play any pad along with this pad once I hit this pad here. Now if I go back here again, and I go to 7, and I play 7, it plays by itself. As you can see, once I hit it, it's not been set up for that. So it doesn't work in reverse. I'll go back here, I'll go to off, and now it's off. I can also mute target. So for example, here I have this, and let's say I have this sound right here, which is this little sort of sound, I don't know what to call this, a dragging chop or something. So I'll get to hit this sound here, and I want to look at 10. So this is the sound I want to come in here and mute that quickly. So let's go here to A, and we're going to go to 10, A10. And now if I play this sound, I cut it off quickly. So you see that? I can target the mute of that sound. Pretty cool. I'll come here to off. Now next what I want to look at here is, of course, these are my zones. If my current zone is going to be this, I can have multiple zones here. I can have all, but right now we're not going to do that. We're going to go back to here first. I'll explain that deeper when I get deeper into the drum program. But now I want to explain to you how this thing works, because I want to get to do the idea of layering. And so layering is right here. Now, what a lot of us do in the business that actually work with MPCs, we do tend to layer. Problem is, so many guys have the same sound. So you want to make sure your sound is your sound. And what we generally do is layer it. So for example, I'll come to here, I want to layer a sound to the sound. I've already selected this sound here to be layered to it. I have a setting set up for it also. What I do is make it the same pitch. Like for example, here, this is a sound, let's give it its natural pitch is here. And if I play it here, these two will play together. And you hear the difference from the original sound. I can come to here and bring the level down here. That's the original sound. And so I bring this other sound up, we'll get the level or get an idea of what it sounds when combined together. Right? But it's a little out of pitch. So what I'll normally do is come to here sometimes, and I will go to here. See that? Now they're almost the same pitch right there. Right? I may do a slight pan sometimes, but here the level is 61. This is 127. So the first sample, the original, dominates the sound. This sort of supports it in a certain way for me, so I can have a certain feel I want to have from that sound. I can even offset it in terms of how it sounds later or behind a little bit or front. So So I'm offsetting a little bit. I'm going to turn here again up a little bit more, and it offsets it slightly from where the center position would be. Now, if I mute this out, or actually just come back in here again and just turn the level down, you'll hear it back. So it sort of makes it thicker in a sense and makes it sort of a little bit wider, and it offsets a little bit. So I'm just going back here again, and I want to get into this again here, the volume right about there now, and hit it again. And it's there. Now I want to bring the offset back to here again, which is kind of cool. But this is how we normally will work with some sounds. Now also, I can come over to here, let's go further down along the line here. I can do more than just that. I can probably add another sound to it as well. But in this case, we have randomize going on here too. But what I want to do, I can use amp, I can use filter. I can make the sound a little bit darker than what it normally is. And you can see that right here in the envelope. So I have an envelope, which is a attack. This is a hold, decay, and sustain, right? So I want to make sure that this happens, and it's pretty cool. In this case, it's attack and decay. So that's AD right there, right? So I can maybe want to decay a little bit more if I want to. I can pull one of these in like this, or grab this one and pull it in like that, right? I can actually change the shape of this amp. I can change the shape of this filter. This is attack and decay, as you can see that right there. If I come to here and select that, this is attack, hold, decay, and sustain. And you get the idea of this later on at some point in time. But you should be able to hear this as you go along working with your MPC software. Now I may want to make it darker too at times, so I have a filter here for that too as well. And we have the same parameters here also. Then there's also LFO I can assign to it. Let's say we'll make it a different wave. Let's go with a sawtooth. And hit that sound on the pad. So I go back to my pads here. And here it is right here. I can hit a slight little bit of that on there. So what we do normally is do that. So for example, I can also do that again on this kick drum rather. So this is the snare. I want to change my track now. Come to here, I can go to kick drum right there. That's my kick drum. And I see it right here. So I know what that is. I come here, I can play it. The kick drum, I may want to add another kick drum to this to give it a little bit more punch to it. So I'm going to look for a kick drum I might like. I think I have here a kick drum I want to test out to make sure this one will work. And let's try this one right here. So we have this one, that's the same thing, right? So we don't want that. We want this one right here. So I want a little more hit. That's nice. A little more hit I want from that one. That's the one I wanted to choose. And we see that. They sound pretty good. They sound almost even here. So I'm going to do a fine tune here and get an idea of, am I close? Oh yeah, most definitely. Now I want to pull this down, and you want to get a pitch to pitch it up somewhat. Yeah, this is good. This actually works. Get too dark, but it's dark enough. Okay, that's pretty cool right now. This might be a little bit too high-endy for me, but I can always pitch it back down. I may come back to this snare. I hit that one time, it's back there again. I can always bring this down by a semitone. About 6, I'll bring this down by 6 as well. So I can probably deal with that. That's so loud. That kick drum's real loud. See how loud it's way over the number there. But I got an idea of what I do like and what I don't like. Kick drums here, I can pull the pad down here like this. See that there? And we got less volume going into the system. And this is how our drum group works. Now I can come here to the end. I'm just going to shift over here to the end here. We can also add effects. We can add filters here, as you can see here. Here's a low pass filter I can add. I just select the sound first and add that low pass filter to it. And what else can we add here? We can add a drum effect right here. Get a ringing noise, a bunch of stuff, tube, drive, everything's here. And also I can add effects directly to the samples. And we can see all the samples here as well. So our drum group is a way for us to create really great drum sounds and tailor make them to what we like. Now, one of the most important things we deal with inside of the MPC2 software and working with our tracks and our music is the grid. And this is our grid view here, for example. Here's the grid view, and we only see the kick drum because, remember, everything is separated. Now, if I want to see everything, I can go here, for example. I want to go to a grid view I can see everything in. So let's see. This is just the program view, right? And this is a view here of the channels. And this is how I can see the channels. Now, this is the track view. So I can see each track here. I can see the view of all these tracks, 7 tracks now. And the one I saw before is just in the middle here now. So as you can see, my selected drum track now appears here in the bottom. And this is all part of the same grid view. Now you see here we have several tools we can use. From the top here, we have a marquee, we have a pointer, we have an eraser, we have a scissor to cut, split, and this one also is audio to hear it back. So to mute something or to hear it back or not hear it back, right? And that's the mute thing here we have here. So let's go back to our home right here and just deal with this drum here. This is our kick drum. I'll play it here. And these are the 2 drums we have right here. Now, I can also come in here and let's say, redo this. Here we go. That's good. I'm here with this drum. Right. And bring it back down. And there we go. Now I have it where it's at. I undid that. So I have this one here. I can select the drums actually. Let's go to here. I want to hear this better. It's kind of low. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to hold down my shift key. Shift key's down here. I'm going to select the drums. Select that one. I'll select one more. And I'll select another one right here. Select this one right here. Now I've selected all these drums, and now I can just go here, grab this, and I can bring them all up at the same time, which is kind of cool. Until I get the right drums I want to select the level I'm going to have them at. I'm going to hear this back first. I like that much better. I can feel it more than I did before. It's just barely there. So I may want to pull it down a little bit, not too sure. Let's play it back again. But you see, once they're selected, that's pretty good. I like that. Now, once they're selected, you can see they remain selected. And also here, there's a white border around that selected event. And that lets you know that you can actually go ahead and do some attenuating, some sort of improvement of the event. Either way you want to do that, I can even move the event someplace else in the grid. I can go to here and say, I want to move this event over here somewhere, like, grab it, move it over there. Yeah. Oh, wow, I moved them all. See that? So I can move all of them at the same time, which is kind of cool too. But in this case, I just wanted to increase the velocity and let you see how the velocity works within the grid. Now, also in the grid here, I can actually erase that. I'll click back in the grid now, and now we're back to normal. Nothing is highlighted, and I can come to here. I can erase. I can erase this. Okay, let's undo that. So I can erase anything. I come to here. This is the marquee selector here. I can come here and select stuff. I want to select maybe just all these sounds right here, right? I can select those and move them someplace or do whatever I need to do, increase the velocity or some other probability or any other modifier I want to use. I could use that to this particular set of notes. And so I can come to click here and get rid of that. And I have a pencil tool. I can also come in and write stuff. So here I write something in, and once I write in, it fills a box out perfectly. And what this is based on whatever my timing correction is. In this case, it's 16th notes. Now, if I undo that, I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to select 60-note triplets. And I can see this whole grid changes here. Now, if I select it right here, write something there, it's smaller, but that's the size of that one point right there. It's no longer that sort of square box anymore. And this is the 16th note triplet. So I can put it to one more there, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And you can see I have 6 notes right there between 2 and 3, like 1, 2, 3, right? So between 2 and 3, you have 6 notes. I can do the same thing. I just come here like this. I'll just draw it out, right? Just draw right along there. I can go like this and draw them like that, or draw them back. I can undo that, of course, right? I can bring my eraser tool here and erase it off too. Let's go back to here. I start erasing stuff. I don't want that. I want this. I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. Off. So it works either way. I can come in and erase all the stuff too again as I can do. And this makes it easier for us to actually work with the grid. Okay, so now what I want to do here is I want to talk about this grid view and the idea of these pads and everything here. We have the name of the pads in the middle right here. Here we have the mute and solo. Now, even though I don't see a lot of these samples that are actually playing from this track 5, I can still mute and solo them because they're still part of this A bank. And of course, I want to hear them. I can come to here. I can hear these sounds totally right here, which makes it easy. Now also, we have this absolute, snap to absolute, and snap to relatively close to where it's at. And you'll see it here by this magnet. It's relatively close, and absolute is actually right on the point. That means if I get something, I want to put it here on the grid somewhere, it could be almost relative to where it's at. Next, this little sign here is for hitting pad selects events. So if I turn this on and it goes red there, I have the ability to hit a pad, and the pad I'm looking for is pad number 4. Now I hit that pad, it selected all the events that are in the grid here. Now if I gray it out, I select it again, it grays out, and now I can hit a pad number 4. Wait, let's get back out. Let's go back to pad number 3, and let's go back to here. I need to go into here and just click into this event. Oops, I added a sound. You want to just get back to the event itself and click on it. There you go. And now I hit pad number 4. It didn't select a single event at all. That helps a lot. I can do undo and redo from here too. It's undo and redo. So here I have the file. I can play it back. And that's that project. What I can also do, I can send somebody the audio file. Let's say it's a singer or a rapper. I want to send them this audio file to practice to. It's pretty simple. I will come back over to here, drag down a little bit, and right here, this is the export audio, and this one here is the export MIDI link. I need to come here first and click on it, and now it's going to build a file. And now this is turned red, see? Before it was gray. That means the file is ready to export. I just drag and click it to my desktop. It says hip hop, and it says airwave. I want that. The next one I have here is MIDI. I'll click on that, and it creates a MIDI file. I'll take the MIDI file, I'll click on it and drag it to my desktop. MIDI file, see that? MID. Perfect. Now you may need a MIDI file for someone who's actually doing maybe keyboards or something. Send that over to him. He might correct it and send it back to you and reload the MIDI file. Either way, having the ability to do that, whether it's an audio or MIDI, is great. Now let's hear it back. So we'll go back to here now. I'm going to drag this down a little bit here so we get an idea what's going on. Let's actually hide that. And I'm going to come to here, which is music. And the MIDI file's here on top. And the other file's right here. So I want to open it with something. Make sure I open it with QuickTime. I'll come to here. Now I'll play it back. Now within this grid, I can also automate parameters for samples. Let's say, for example, here we're on pad number 4, right? And I come to here, I can open up this right here, and I can see lanes. This is a lane here, for example, for velocity. So this velocity can be automated. Now to automate it, you have to write it. So if I'm here, that means I would write it to that program. And so the program appears right here. You can see here, this is the program name, and here, I can come in here right here, and I can automate this parameter. So I'll go to here, and now it's write, and this is read. So if I want to write in, I go to red. Now the way to do this is to have hardware, like an MPC or an MPK device. And what you would do, let's say, for example, I'd have probably a knob on there or a fader. I'd come to here, right? And this would be a parameter I'm going to just work with. I'd start to control it. I can add more to it. I'd come to here. Let's say I want to control, I'm on A4. Okay, A4 selected. So I can come to here in the mixer. Let's say I want to change the level and the panning. Let's say I'll change the panning. That's even better. We're going to change the panning. Here's the panning. We can see it right here. This is the panning. And so we know that this is what 4 is here. That's pad 4. Pad 3 is pad 4. So from pad 4, I could change the panning. So I'd come to here, go back to track 4 here. Oops, go to pad 4, sorry. Go to our mixer and then go to panning. Now I would see the panning here. And this will control my panning on any hardware device. You can't really do it inside the software, but it does work when the hardware is connected to your computer. Your computer will recognize it, and then you can actually control that panning information or any other automation lane you want to pick. In this case, currently we have selected here, we have velocity, probability, ratchet, modifier, selecting the modifier you want to select here, and of course, we have panning. We just selected. Now I want to talk about pads and the use of pads in the MPC software. So we have a couple of parameters that we can choose here just from above the pads. So for example, I could choose note repeat. I want to repeat a certain amount of notes whenever I hit a pad down. So I can, that's my kick drum, I can go to here. And I'm just using the pad keys on my keyboard, which are selected right here, of course. It's selected to pads for the keys. Now, I can change that here in timing correction. I can go, let's go to quarter note triplets. And I'll hit a as you can see, we're doing chord note triplets. And I can try, let's try just eighth notes. And this works on the fly too as well. So I'm just holding down the key here, and it just keeps going. I turn this off though, nothing will happen. I'll just play the one sample that's there. It makes it easier. So you want to go back to make sure timing correction is on. You want to select the right timing correction value, and then you'll see it, or actually you'll hear it, as you touch the pads. And this can also work when you're just trying to make up a beat or something, just using your MPC software with your keyboard on your computer. So it's a pretty cool idea. So that's note repeat. So I can get off a note repeat here. Next I have half level. Now whenever you hit an instrument here in the MPC and you're not set for any particular level, it will be 120. And you'll see that volume appear over here on our left-hand side in our master output and also in the program output. In this case, it's drum programs output right here. I can hit any pad and I see how loud that is. Now I can also go to half level. I go to here, and you can even hear it. That's half level of any sound that I select. Now as you can see here, the volume meter. I'm in pad scene, and you can see here, I'll select volume, and as I roll through these things, they have their own volume set up already, but it'll be half or whatever that is. Be aware of that. So I can raise it up or lower it down, but that's all based on what the current selected volume is. Let's turn this off. Next we have 16 levels. This is quite unique. And it's one of the most unique things on all MPCs is 16 levels to do anything. So I can come here and select 16 levels, and you get this little box right here, and we have the check here for active. We also have the pad selected, so I can select any pad, and I have the value. I guess it's called ratchet in this case. I can change this value to velocity, to tuning, to filter, layer, attack, decay, probability, and ratchet. So I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to use one. Let's stick to the bass drum. So I go to here, I can pick the bank. I want to pick the pad. This will be pad number 1 in the bank. I'll close this. I'm set the velocity, so this is the lowest velocity possible, and you can see that on the left-hand side here of the VU meter. I can go to pad 16. It's the loudest. So I'll from low to loud. Now the same thing works with tuning, but once you select it again, we're back to normal. Right, we're back to normal at this point. Now we'll go back here again, and I want to select tuning this time. I'll go to tuning right here, and I want to tune something up. So we'll press, let's see, first of all, select an item first. Let's select a bank, and let's go to 13, and we'll close. It's active too. So now this cowbell is that pitch. I can go down. That's the lowest one right there. And you can see how it goes from blue down to this gray down here in the bottom. So the colors will tell you actually where the pitch is going, up or down. Now another way we can use the pads is with our sample edit. We'll come to here, sample edit, but first I'm going to select the sound here first. Let's select something like this. That's pretty cool. And we're going to go to here, sample edit. Now once we're in sample edit here, I can see this sample right here, of course, and then I can play it. But the pads are different here. It does show a bank, and here I can come to here, and here it's not playing, right? So you'll see it's not playing at all. Let's say, for example, I move this in here, and I move this over to here. And now I'll play it. So it only plays outside of the start. From here, I play the parameters between the beginning and the end of the sample. When I hit the second pad, it plays the outside, the first part before the sample begins, according to the edit. I come to here, it'll play the end of the sample. That's not within the edit. And here I can do the same thing, except this is note on. I have to hold it. If I don't hold it down, it won't complete. So hold it down, I'll hold a little bit. So this is note on, meaning I have to hold it. And that's note on for the same parameter, which would be the front part of the sample that is not in the start. Now here I can play all. So no matter what, it'll play the entire sample using this button here, which is 9. I'll come to hit a 10. It plays just the sample itself. But that's one shot. Here, it's note on. If I don't hold it down, it won't play. Here's loop. So it will loop the sample. Next we have play to loop start. So it plays the very first piece before it gets to the start of the sample. Here we have, so that's from the start of the loop all the way to the end of the sample, even the part that's not selected. And here, this is continuous. I tap it one time, it plays over and over and over. I have to tap it again to stop it. And this is how we use the pads in sample edit. Okay, so in this video, what I want to talk about is the Q-Link mode inside the software, like it is on our MPC devices. So here you can see it's Q-Link, and we're set for screen. And screen means what we see in front of us, pretty much. As you can see here, I have the program levels, my first button down here. As I move this button, you'll see on the left-hand side that the volume fader moves up and down. And if I move the fader for this program, correspondingly, it moves that button in the same way. And it sets the dB level for that fader output, or volume output, rather. Now here we have our playback heads. That's that white bar we see, little line we see here going across in our grid when we play a track. So I'll play something here now, and we see the playback head move. And and that's the playback head. We have horizontal scroll, of course. That works primarily if I go to horizontal zoom. I zoom in, and I can scroll back and forth to where I want to see something within the grid. Now next I have timing correct. So I turn this way, it's off. And you can see at the top there, right here, timing correct is off. Now I'll go back up to here, and it's on. We have time division. I can set the division up. What could be eighth notes, quarter notes, 16th note triplets, to make a difference. Also swing. We have time correct strength. And of course we have current track. What track am I on? Track number 5. Here also we have track length, track velocity, track transpose. Everything's pretty much here, including sequence parameters you can see on top, whether it's loop start, loop end, or tempo and length. Now this is all set up automatically by their system. I can come to here too, as you can see here, and we see that that's link 5. But it doesn't have anything to do with our scenes. But it does with pads. If I come back here to pads, and I select pad parameters, and I hit this I button for info, I come here, I see the source pad is 5. I can't change that, but what I can change is these levels. I can come in and say, well, you know something? I want to look at the panning. Now, once I change panning, you see all these knobs change the panning right here. So if I come to, let's say, mixer, and I want to go to pad mute, I'm in pad mute, all the knobs. Let's close this out by hitting I. And then next I come to here, I can change the pad mute of a sample. So I come here and do the pad 1. We've changed. Let's scroll down a little bit more here. And you see that mute button is right there. I go to here, I'm changing the mute. I change up again here, I've changed the mute. So you see that I'm changing all the mutes on the corresponding pads. And this is pad parameters. Now next above this, we have pad scene. And this works with scenes. So let's say, for example, I hit a pad. And the scene of this pad would be which parameters are where. And it's based off of our drum program for this bank A. So I have the volume, the panning, the pad solo, pad mute. We have the sends, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we also have our filter cutoff, filter resonance, filter depth, and tuning of that pad. So for example, hit this pad here, I'll change the tuning, right? I'll bring it back down to here, back down to 0, right there. And I can hit another pad, this pad right here, and now I can change its tuning. Oops. That's it right there. Let's go and bring it back to the right tuning. 0's it. So I hit a pad, and then I can see the scenes for that pad. Now you can see I see the level, the panning, the pad, the panning, solo mute, of course the sends, we have the filter cutoff, and resonance. It's all here for us. But I can go here also and select the I again. And once I get the I get the mixer, I can see those parameters, and I have more I can apply. Look at this here. I can apply a bunch of different parameters. So I can change those parameters whenever I want to, and you can see these parameters are all from the drum program. And I can set those parameters to any one of these knobs. Let's close the eye here, and we're back to normal. So next we have here, this is going to be our program. And these are parameters for the program itself. Of course, our drum program. And then next we have our project parameters for the project. Our project, of course, in this case is called workflows. You can see it right there. It controls all the parameters for that project. Now this is how Q-Link works. And it also works when I use a hardware device with my MPC software when I'm doing automation. Okay, so right here we have a bunch of different features that aren't highlighted. So for example, right here, if you move your cursor right here, it should come up. Let me grab the software itself. There you go. This is my mixer window. I can press Shift, Option, Command, M. That's a lot of button presses. I'll just come right here and click on that, and then I get this mixer, which is kind of cool. And so my mixer's right here, and I can see the levels. I can see my master fader, which is right here. See that right to my master fader. I can click on any one of these and I can see what they are. Like this is for the group. I also have the drum sounds right here. So for drum sound here, right? Drum sounds, that's kind of cool. Suppose I pull this down. See if we can pull it down a little bit more here. There we go. When I pull it down a little bit, there you go. We pull it down, we can see more and view more what's in the mixer. And so there is a mixer in here. Sometimes you don't even realize it, but it is here. I can also change parameters in the mixer. I can come to here like this. Whoa, we're on and we're off with the drum pads. The beauty of having the drum pads, I can see what's on a pad, particularly if it's different levels. Like here, I have different layers, or levels to me, but layers. And so I know I have 2 drums here. I've got 2 sounds here. So I know there's separate sounds here. Here's a bass here, I know that. Here's the distortion and fuzz for that bass. And the low frequency here we're using is for a filter. That's a low pass filter right there. That's great. So you can see it all right here. And I can also just drag it up and see if we can get the cursor rack right now. Here we go. And we're going to drag it back up a little bit more. And now I can see what's down here. I can select MIDI tracks. I can select programs, turn those off, turn up subgroups, turn off returns. I just see the main, which is right here. I can come back. I want to see this and the programs and the submixes and the returns. So I can choose what I want to see inside the mixer. And it can get much more bigger because currently you only see, this is just the A bank. Now if I had to go further, and I go to here, I could see B, C, D, E, F, G, H bank, which gives a lot of different places to see, a whole bunch of different pads and scenes to go through. That's a lot. That's like 128 different tracks in the system, which is why they call it a DAW now. Now, let's go back again. So I'm just going to press Control and then use my left and right key to move here. Now I'm back on my main window. So I can also come to here. See, this is a keyboard. I can pull up a keyboard right here below everything else in this main window. And the keyboard appears right here, right? So this keyboard corresponds to the note of every particular sound. For example, if I had 128 different pads going on from A to H, I would see that. So here, I see that one. So you see that. So I can come to here, and you can see what the sounds are. Now also I can turn this off. Now here, I move, this is the bottom panel right here. I go to the bottom panel, it's gone. And this is my bottom panel here. I have project, I have pad perform, I have pads, I have cue links, and now nothing. So this is the bottom panel underneath my grid. Now this here represents the MIDI channel. So I come to here, I can see MIDI channels, and it'll be right here, the MIDI channel for the program. Right? So you can see that. I'll close this out. I'll go back to here. And now this is my program channel. So of course my output's here. And I can see this is the program. Right? And this is the program. I press play here. The program, that's the only program I have running right now is that program. So I can pull this back up to here. And that controls the volume for that program. And that brings us up to that point where it's like this. Now I can also have, go to here, I'll hit pad, and now the pad is right here. See that? I'll hit a pad here, let's hit this one. And we see the volume just drop right down there. That's for that stick right here, right? I'll go to here. And we can see all this stuff happening right here. That's for pad number 2. So you can see that these are the pads. Here is the program output, right? So I can change that. I can even come to a pad, let's say right here, and add an insert. So I'm working with a project. I might want to come in here and say, I want to add something to this pad. Let's say I want to add like a air. I go to air. I want to add, let's say, the new Pro display, the new Delay Pro, excuse me, from air. I come like this. I'll put that on there real quickly. Then I'll tap on this. I'll select some sort of delay I want to use. Let's go to basic, dual 4, and then I'll hit that pad. Oh, here it is. 4-time delay on the pad itself. I can get rid of it too, come right here, I'll go to none, and it's gone. So I can add effects there. I can come back to here and just say, I'm gonna go to program channel. I get here, I can add effects on a program channel, on the entire channel. That means all the sounds within that program. So this is a great way to get around and look at certain things I want to actually fix and work with or add to within the software. That's by using this little panel on the bottom here to do that. Now also, I can go right to here, and this will show me information, for example. So here, show or hide inspector. That's the inspector, and I hit the inspector. So you can hide it too as well. Now the main output of everything here is our master fader. And this is it right here. Our master fader is right there. And you can tell there's also this king crown on it, meaning the master output. It's output 1 and 2. And that's where you see it or hear it right here also in our system. And as I move this triangle up or down, you'll notice how the dB level changes. Now this is for the output, but you notice one thing for sure, that here it does not control the master fader. And it doesn't control that. So this is our output totally right here. Now you're also going to see the master fader. Once you see if this is on, I know that my mixer window is open. So now I'm going to press Control and the right arrow, and I get right here to my mixer again. My master fader appears here. So everything we do here goes to the summation amp. It's the sum of everything. So that means even here, this goes to 1 and 2, right? But there's no 1 and 2 output here. This is the end. This is 1 and 2. And it's sending everything here to 1 and 2, right? Now currently this is MIDI going on here, right? So I'll come to here in program. What submixes we have here, right? So I want to go down. So I'm going to get rid of the MIDI stuff. And here you can see more, right? So here we see actually our submixes here, 1 through 8. We have returns here as well. I'll move the slider here in the bottom over. And everything's going to 1 and 2. The output, 1 and 2 output. So if I send a signal in here, it goes directly to the output. The same thing here. Let's go back here to the program. Now, these are different programs I have here, right? Here's a new program. I have the other programs are right here too as well. I have the original program that comes to the system. This one here, and I got a plugin too as well, right? So that's a program for that plugin. And so its output goes to the master here as well. So when I come to the master, and you see a lot of guys come in here and they'll do something like put a mastering plugin here. So let's go back here first. We may want to put an EQ on top of this, right? So let's go to here. I just want to look for an EQ real quick I want to use here just for today's lesson of this piece. Let me put this killer EQ here, and I may come down and put a maximizer under it. Now you may see this in some of the expansion packs you might load up. And the purpose is to get a maximum pure output from here. That way you can sort of boost that level up if you want to get a much stronger sound. Also to EQ out some frequencies. But if you're new to this, don't do that. I'm just showing you that this is the master. When you do apply this here, it affects everything in the system. So be careful of that. Make sure that you have like a pure sound when you're working, but you do not need to have the EQ or the master maximizer here in the master output. First, build your track, get everything going on, fix any problems, but understand this is the master output. Everything goes here. You may find a problem where you may have some sort of effect on one of these submixes and you can't find it. You don't know what the problem is. Always check here, see where the output of whatever the program, whatever the submix or the returns are going to the main out. And this is the main out right here. Be careful of that. Now in this lesson, we're going to start using the sample side of the MPC 2.12 software. So you'll see here that we have a bunch of samples in the sample pool here, and I'm going to play back a vocal here, and you get an idea what we're going to actually do with this vocal here. Now this is 89 BPM. Now that's it, the whole vocal. Now we'll see here in the sample pool, we have the vocal, and I believe it's this one right here. So you can come right here, of course, and play a sample back. Now notice one thing, if I play the sample back, you'll notice that in the upper right hand corner here, we do not see it in the V meter, which is right here. We won't see it play back here. This will not fill with the green, and once it gets to red, it's distorted or whatever. We'll come to here. As I play it, you don't see that. So this is playing directly through the computer's audio output, outside of playing inside the software. If I play it in the software, let's see, where's it going to be at here? That should be, is it here? You'll notice how quiet it is. It's being controlled by the software. So be aware that when you are dealing with samples, what the true output of that sample is. Notice it keeps playing on and on. Really can't stop at this point. Okay, good. So now we're going to go to here. This is our sample edit section. So I'll come to here, I'll select the sample edit, and we can see the sample right here because I actually selected it earlier by clicking on that sample, and now I go to sample edit, we can see it right there. Now when you have a sample, you can edit and chop it up any way you want, and there are some parameters right within this whole grid view, we'll call it, of the sampler. And this is our sample editor, and so we can see here I can have it in terms of beats. I can have it in terms of time, which would be seconds or milliseconds, right? I can have it here in terms of samples. And we can see how it's judged against that parameter. So for example, if I come to here and I go to beats, we'll see this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 measures. So it's already been cut up for us. Now this is a sample from one of the expansion packs given to us by AKAI. So you'll see that we can actually do anything we want with it because it's actually been set for that problem of making sure it's the right length for the particular song it's made for or the project it was made for. So if I come to here, we'll play the whole thing through. If I click here, it'll stop it. This is one shot, and this is note on. So if I hold the note down, it'll play. If I take that up and I stop holding that note down, or that pad there down, pad number 5, it will stop playing. If I just hit pad number 1, it continues to play on and on and on until it gets to the end. So I can play the song again. It sounds confusing now. So be aware that there's almost 2 different sounds going on if you try to play the song that's actually in, or the track that it's in itself. So what I want to do here now is I also want to look at this sample in terms of what parts you can cut off, what you can't, and how this works with this pad configuration. So for example, that plays the whole thing. This plays from the start. So there's no start. Let's take this up to here 1 second. We're going to go right to about here. And I'm going to play that again.
But I was deaf, it was okay. But I was deaf, it was okay. But I was deaf, it was okay.
Notice it's playing a little bit before at the beginning, but it plays until where I have this green section where I cut off that area, right? That's the start. I can do the same thing here to the end. So the green is actually the beginning and the red is the end of the sample. And these 2 parts here help us cut the sample up, get areas we want to see, pick which areas we want to play. So for example, if I play it now, So I can do that, play this. I want to stop it, I go here. Pretty simple, right? So I want to get a certain area. I can do that with these pads here and the pad configuration in sample mode. So I can go to here and play to the end. See that? To the end of where this red bar comes in right here, the ending. So I can go to here and play this to the end. As you can see, I'm playing the section behind this red bar right here. So this part's here, in front, before the beginning, after the end. I have this whole section here I can play. So if I play it here and I hold this down, it will keep playing to the end. Well, this is note on. I let go, it's like that. If I come here and I just click that first one, it'll play all the way to the red bar and then stop. And as you can see right now, then it stops. So be aware of that. Now, so this first row, pads 1 through 4, even the pads on your MPC, will do that in sample mode with one shot. Hit it once, it plays straight through. That's one shot. Note on means hold the pad down. It will do the same functions, except this is known as note on. So in note on, it requires us to actually hold this down to play it straight through, even from the beginning, or this, and this. That plays to the end. So it's the same thing, except you got to hold the note down. This one here, pad number 9, you got to play the whole thing. It'll play the whole thing straight through, no matter what. It says play all. It doesn't say one shot, but it's obviously one shot. Here is note on. I can stop it. I can do this. Play sample. That's going to play the area in the middle. Let's stop that. Let's move this all the way up here. I'm sure I don't have to listen to it so long. And go to here, and I'll play this again. So you see it plays the area between the green bar and the red bar right there, right? Okay, good. Those are just sort of like timelines. I'm going to do the same thing here, but it's note on. I got to hold it down. And I can come to here, I can loop play. Got to hold it down though, see that? Got to hold it down to play it. So you can see, got to play it over and over again. So let's say we're going to get something to loop. Let's say we're going to come to here and loop it. And we got this one here to loop. Get a little bit more beginning to it. And here, I could do the same thing. Play to loop start. Like before, when I was here, this is the same function here. So this is for looping. When I want to make sure my loop is correct, I can use these up here to get the play to loop. Put a start before the loop. I can judge where I want to have my start point for the loop. I can have play from loop start. So it goes past the red point. It just plays from loop start. This will play the loop continuously. Now the top pads, 13, 14, 15, and 16, these are all functions for looping. So for example, here it says play loop. It'll play the entire loop, but I have to hold this pad down. And that means it's note on. Play to sample start, right? Or play to loop start. See that? We're playing right to the start of where the loop's supposed to start from. This is play from loop start. It plays from loop start, but it plays past the end. See that? And then we have play the loop. And this is continuous.
It was all kind hard to resist.
And now it's going to loop again.
It was all kind hard to
over and over
resist.
that'll happen. To stop it, I just hit this continuous again, and it will stop. And that's how these pads function. It helps us to sort of get the beginning, the end, find out what's happening inside the loop, after the loop. Because sometimes you want to hit something over and over and get the perfect setup. You know, sort of zoom in on the actual idea. Where are we? How close can we get? Now, of course, we have this little triangle here to zoom in to see this loop and see the transients here, the up and downs, as we zoom in closer to see how this actual sample looks as a sample and where we can go in and cut stuff out or add parts in, either way. And what we can do also, while it's in this state, I can do some real funky stuff. Like, for example, I can come to here, take this back to the top, take this back to the end here, and I could sort of pitch the sample. We have slices, we can add slices here. We have start point already set up. As I move this in here, you'll see the start point has changed. As I move the end in, this red little bar here, you can see the end point has changed. So I can change the start and end, and once I do that, I will see that here as the parameters for the sample. I have loop here. Let's try a loop. I go to loop here, right? That's my loop here. And I go to right here, make the loop right there, we'll say. And we have a loop, the size of my loop. I can have an X fade too. When they cross here, I have an X fade where they cross and they fade. I can choose different ways to fade. This one that just fades perfectly. This one fades where it's almost a slow, gradual fade from one sample to the next. This is just crossing right over each other. And this one is our X fade. Now here we also have this thing, which is tuning. And this is kind of cool. This parameter called tuning is right here. Now right here, to the right of the pads, we have this section here. We have slice, start, end. We have loop. We have this lock here for the loop. We have the X fade right here. And I'm going to talk about this section right here. Now, this is all slices. So this is just one big slice, really. Nothing's chopped up here. The start is 0. That's where this first part is at, where they have this green stem right here. So it'll stick up here, moves up to here. As I move it up, we see this number increase. And that's in terms of samples. Now, you see I've moved to samples right here. We have samples, right? And then this ruler of numbers here tells me how many samples I'm at, right? So I get to here, and that number is right here. For the end, I can do the same thing. So the end is here. Doesn't say end, but I know if I pull it in, this end number decreases as I get closer to the start point. Now move this back out to here again, out to here. Now I can also loop it. Say, for example, I've got a loop I want to do from from 0 here, all the way to the end, right? So loop, I'll come to here, it's locked in, not locked in. You notice I have this piece right here. Right there, piece right there, right? So I'll cut this out right here, right now, and we're back to normal. This is for looping. I have the X fade as well here. When I cross fade these samples, I want to make sure it sounds smooth. Now below here I have tuning, where I can tune the sample from the BPM it's currently at. Now, for example, I could take this here, and let's move it up some. And if I put a sample, so as I click inside this sample area here, the sample editor, you'll notice I can click it, it plays, I stop, it's off. That's note on as well. So that's pretty fast, right? Now let's go back to here and play it. notice it's in time as well. I can change the pitch of the vocal at any point here without changing the tempo. Now let's go back to sampling it right here. I can even get drastic about it. And go back to home and play it again. That's pretty high. A little drastic to give you an idea what's going on. Let me stop that. I'll go back to the sample edit. Now I can go even low. Let's go back to home and play it. So there's a guy now. And when you've got your sample right and you set it up, you can do that with samples. Let's go back here to our sample editor, and I can get right back to where it was actually at, which was 0. Let's get to 0 right now real quickly. Just scroll in here with my cursor, and I'm back at 0 again. Play it here. Pretty simple to do. So I've got the same song going on here, the same project, and maybe I want to bring a sample in. Now, this is what happens when you bring a sample into a project. But first you want to choose a sample, right? So I got this right behind here. I've got several samples I can check out here. This one here. Nope. Left coast here. So I'm looking at samples. Nope, I'm gonna grab this one here. Let's look at this one. You wanna check it out, see how it sounds, test whether it's consistent or not, see if I can use it. Now in this case, I can chop this up into several different sample sizes, and I would get some pretty cool beats, different beats to loop if I wanted to loop it. Okay, that's cool. Now I want to drag this into this session here. I might want to use it for this session. But look what happens when I do. I'm going to grab this sample. I'm going to go in here and put it in the sample pool. I'll let it go once it's in there. And now it's loading in. And you'll see it here at the top. So now let me go back to here, put that behind us. And I want to play the sample again. And see what happened? It slowed down totally. Once it's inside the session, it's not controlled by the parameters of the sample. So I come back and press the sample edit, and I'll see here, this is where the sample looks for 1, and I'll see it's being controlled by this section right here. So it's really important to realize how this section here affects a sample when it's brought into a session that it hasn't been sort of placed in prior to anything happening with the sample editing. So be very careful when you're going to bring a sample in to your session and you've already set that session up. You've got the BPM figured out. You know what your sample is. It could be warped as well. And this way, it'll be easy for you to work with. So now I want to start a brand new session. And we'll go here, we're going to select new project. Now we get these parameters here. I want to get an empty session. I'll just select empty project right there. I got a brand new empty project. And what's really happening here is that the BPM have to match up. So I want to get my sample loop again, which I have right here. That's not the one. Which one was it? Oh, this one here. Yes, we'll grab this one. Put that in there. I want to grab this one too as well for some comparisons and show you some ideas. Now, we're going to go to here, and I want to hear these samples back. And this is a brand new session, not like the last session was already set up for that one loop. idea. So now I got two different loops, two different BPMs. The top one, hot loop, is 100 BPM. The one below that is 94.5 BPM, beats per minute. So I'll hit the top one first. That's pretty fast compared to how it actually sounds. If I go to here, the actual sound of that sample, and so I grab it right here and go to here, is this. Much slower, about 100 BPM. Stop that. The other sample, which is this one right here, this is how it sounds. That's it. I like that beat. And now we'll go back to here, and we're going to hear it inside here. Oh God, you see that's just way too slow. And so it's all being controlled not by anything but the tempo. So for example, I come to here, that's 100 BPM, I'll click to here, I'll do 100, I'll click return real quickly, and now I'll play this again. And that's 100. So what I could do too, if I want to, I could say, well, look, that's 100. I'll come to here. I'm going to take it and put it on this pad right here. Okay. Now I want to make it stop too. So I go to here. Where's that? Right there? Okay, good. So it won't stop unless I go back into stopping this thing. There you go. It stopped. So I'm going to go right back here. And I see it right there, right? That's the loop chosen. And I can see the loop. I want to cut this down because it's kind of freaking long. So what I want to do is sort of cut it down. Right about there. And I want to go back here to home. Now I got a loop right here. It's on that first pad. I want to put one beat here. So I'm going to click right here. That's the very first beat, very first measure. And we got 4 bars. It just stops, right? So you want to check out the beginning first of all. I want to go to here and look at the very beginning. The very beginning is not tight. So I want to get the beginning really tight right here. And then I want to play it from here. Okay, I got the idea. So I'm going to get 4 bars in. So I can't see it. I'll come to here. And I'm going to go to beats. And now I know I can get 4 bars in right here. Somewhere around there it stops. So I'm going to go to here. I'll click here. Continuous loop. Sort of like rushed in a little bit there, right? I hit the pad. I got so much going on here. It's just playing over and over. Let's stop this. Now, by putting this at beats, I can say I want to get 4 bars right to there. But what I want to do too, I need to zoom in and get a real good idea. See that? Once I zoom and I get a very good idea, I'm not really at the end. I want to come to here and move this to the very end right there, right? I want to get to, I'm going to really zoom in now tightly, get really close on it. And see, we can get down to the most minute area. This is kind of cool. Then I can see that it starts to really form as a beat right here. Otherwise, when it's here in a zero, sort of like this 1-0 axis right here, right? The actual sound does not get bigger and louder, right? Anywhere else but right here. So I'm going to come to right there. So I'm going to zoom back out, get a better view here. Okay, so I want to see. So now I want to see if this loops, but the beginning is bad too. So I'm going to come to the beginning here and get an idea what's going on. So I'm getting the beginning here. And once I move that a little bit, it's knowing I want to be in the beginning. So I go to here. Good, right there is good. And then I want to come back here again and sort of like zoom back out and get just that one area that I want to mess with, this area right here. I just want to get these 4 bars to talk, to give me that talk like, whoa, it fits perfect. So now what I want to do, I'm going to go back here to home, and we know I've got this set here on the very first beat, right? And this is going to end in 4 bars. Okay, good. So now I'm going to press play start from the top. One, two, three, 4. So we're looping. Let's stop this. So we have it here. Now I want to adjust it. Now a great way to adjust is, I showed you before, I'll just do this. Continuous play. I can also come back and still adjust it. The end. See that? I fixed it. While it's looping, I can actually make sure the beginning and the end match. And this is just by hitting continuous play right here. Continuous loop play. And this is a great way to make something loop, see if it loops, judge if it's going to loop, figure out what's going on. You can get the idea how to deal with this loop. So now I have a sample size I like that loops. You know, I'll come in, I'll play it. It sounds pretty decent to me now. Now I click play loop continuously. Okay, let me stop that by hitting that button again for play loop continuously. Now I want to get to the end here and make sure the end's right. So I want to open end up, see I can go further. So I want to make sure to go further to here, make sure I want to be right where that transient just takes off. Or otherwise I want to be right here near that 0 axis, right there in the middle. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more and get the idea that I know what I'm going to be. Yeah, that's perfect for me. I like that. So I'm right there. I see the whole sample size. And now I want to get to this column here called functions. Now in functions, I can do pretty much anything to a sample. I can discard pieces. I can delete parts of the sample. I can silence it. I can extract. I can normalize. I can reverse it. Fade in, fade out, pitch shift. I can time stretch and gain change, whether I want to increase it or lower it, right? Or copy it straight up, just copy the sample. These are great to have when you want to mess with samples and do what you really want to do, is get busy with them and sort of bend them around, shape them into something for you to use. Just cut them up like little puzzles, right? So now I like this the way it is here, and I play it back to the end. And what I want to do next is get rid of something. Okay, I got it. So I want to get discard. I come to discard right here, and I get a little diagram right here. See this diagram right here? We can see it says right here, it says alert. Pressing do it will delete the data beyond the start and end points. So this means that, let's cancel that. This means that anything in the front before the green is gone. Anything after the red is gone. What we keep is what's in the middle. And you see the diagram suggests that right here. Well, you know something? Let's do it. The other part goes in the garbage. It's called discard. Let's do it. Whoa, it's chopping it up. Look at that. It's just one sample now. There's a beginning and there's an end. That's all there is. And let's stretch it out perfect. That's how it looks. And this is that sample. Now, once I get rid of that, you're just like scared. What's it gone? Can we do it again? I'll just undo that. And we're back to normal. Back to where I had it before. No problem with that. So the beauty of doing it here in a computer system is nonlinear editing. So that means I can do stuff. The original still maintains its place. And I can discard samples and chop them up too, which is cool. Now what I can also do, rather than grab, delete, and I can extract. Let's do this. Let's go to extract. I select extract, and now we just take out between the start and the beginning, rather the start and the end, and take out a brand new sample. Right here, as you can see that. And I can call this example here, this is hot loop name. It's hot loop. I'm my original sample, but see there's a 1 after that right there, right? So now what we want to do here is do that. Instead of chopping that sample and getting rid of the ends, I want to just pull it out of there. Let's do it. And we're extracting a sample from a sample. Great. Now you go to our sample pool right here, you'll see it right here. I'll click on that, and now that's that sample again. So it's easy to do. I can see what it is. I can mess with it any way I want to mess with it. And that's how we extract a sample. Now next, I want to delete a sample. Let's check this out. I'm going to go to here, back to original hot loop, right? I'm in hot loop right here, and I want to like delete something. So I go here to delete. I'll press delete, and you can see here, press do it will delete the sample or the section between the start and end points. Got it? So you see the diagram here. It'll take this part here and throw it in the garbage, and these two will collide, come together. Watch this. So how can we do this? Pretty simple. We're just going to do it. Boom, and it does it. But check it out. It took the beginning right with that piece and put it right back there again. Well, what do you know? So from here, if I played it, what's going to happen? Let's go to here. Okay, click it again. So that piece is there now. The end, right after where it ended, that started. Okay, let's do this again. Let's undo this. We'll undo this totally. Boom, there you go. I'm undone it. Perfect. But you know I want that sample. That sounded pretty cool. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to squish this up to here. I got another section I want to grab. And what we're going to do here, we're going to zoom in, man. We're going to zoom in on this. I'm going to pull this over here, right? I know this starts the next section right there. I want to go to right there. I want to zoom in on it a little bit. There we go. And that's perfect. Now I want to get, where's the part over there end at? So I'm going to pull this out to here. I'm going to go over to here, zoom in a little bit more. And I think it's going to end somewhere around, I don't know, maybe like right around here or something. Have no idea. I'm going to go right here. And I'm just going to play it. I'm going to judge it now. Go back here. So I can do this while still playing. It's rushing in. Ooh. So see, once I pulled it out outside of the loop, it stopped. Two, three, four. Okay, good. We got that section there. So this section right here, right? Oop. Okay, hit the button by mistake. There you go. Let's stop it right here. I had to play start, no need for that. But you got the idea. I'm taking section by section out of here. So now I can extract this piece out of here too, right? I got a better idea. Let's how silence works. Let's go to silence. We'll go to silence right here. And so now, rather than coming together, when I take a piece out, there's silence going to be there. So let's do it. And see, there's silence right there. It'll stop and it'll be quiet. Totally quiet. So that can be done. Let's undo that. Now that piece there works. I can extract it. Let's extract it. And we'll extract that one out. Do it. Now our sample pool has two pieces. I have one piece here with one for a hot loop. Here's the other hot loop right there, which is two. Here's my main one, which is hot loop. This is a great way to extract samples out of a long loop and sort of make your own loop work out of the samples you extract. Let's continue on with the sample functions. Let's go to here and let's grab this one here. I'm gonna get this one right here. We just got this one here and I can do stuff like normalize this sample. Now, as you see, this sample looks quiet or not maximizing the full space here, right? Now if I play it back, I'll press play loop continuously. It's playing, you know, it's pretty cool. Now what I want to do here is stop that. I'm going to go here and normalize this sucker, and you'll see the diagram here. It's pretty simple. See how low that is? See how loud that is? This fills up the space. This is almost in the space, but this fills up the entire space as much as possible. Let's do this and see this for sure. And see that? Our peak right here is at maximum just about right there, right? You can see that. And right here, they maintain the same area somewhat. And now we'll play this back. Perfect, right? So we normalized that sample and made it louder. This is great to get samples louder, make it sound good. Now sometimes if you take a bad sample, you will hear some sort of artifact, some sort of noise in the background. So just be aware of that. Now next, let's undo that. Not necessary. I can reverse a sample. Let's reverse this bad boy. This is obvious, as you can see here from the diagram. Let's do it. Now let's play it back. You got the idea? It's reversed totally. Let's undo that. Cool. Totally undone. And I can also fade in. So I'm going to fade in the front. So this is a fade in. It's linear fade, and I can select the type of fade I want to use too. Here's linear, here's log, here's exponential. So let's go for linear here first and do linear right there. And the fade, see the fade in here? Let's play this back. Pretty cool. Let's change this. Let's undo that. We get a better idea of how this actually works by experimenting and getting it done. You can see it right here so you know what's happening. We'll do fade in again, and we'll do it based on log. And we'll do it. And look at that. Whoa, that's pretty good. Let's try this again. Now let's play this back. I like log a lot because it's not so low in the beginning and it judges the distance. So when you're doing linear, it gets a little crazy. Stop that. Now, next what I want to do is I'd like to do the next one, right? So I'm going to go back to here, undo this, and we're going to go back into fade in, and then we're going to do the last one here, exponential. And we'll press do it. Whoa. So it's really quiet and very low. So you see the differences is, and how the difference works between one to another one. All right, let's do this. Let's play this back. That is so quiet in the beginning. It starts from nothing. Okay, let's undo that. So you get the idea. That's important. Now the same way it is with fade in as it is with fade out. Same thing. We got exponential first. See that? So I did it last. So let's go to here. Let's do this again. And the fade out be that way. And we'll go from the beginning again. And we're going to loop it down to nothing. Let's undo that. And now we'll try it again with the other one. So let's go to get an idea how these things sound in reverse. And this one I probably will like a lot. So I like this because it goes down here and here. That's kind of cool. And it still maintains some audio level. Let's loop this. I like when it jumps in too. It's like we're rising it up again. So we're going to just undo that. And now we're going to do the last one again. And this is the out. And we're going to go back to linear, which I like too as well, which I guess we all do. And now we'll play this back as linear. So you still have some sound at the very end of it, which I like about this a lot. Stop that right there. Perfect. And that's how we do fade in and fade out. So I cut out another sample from this actual sequence of beats in this one loop. And here it is, I looped it too. Okay, that's good enough. Let's stop that. And now what I want to do is sort of do a pitch shift of this sample. So I'll come here to pitch shift. I'll see this here, right? So that's -2, so I want to probably do it. And then I want to play it back. So it's deeper, right? Let's stop that. So let's do this. Let's go right back here. We're going to back to home now. I want to put in a sequence and show you how time shift works. So I've got it set up here. So I'm going to try to get to where this should be at. I think it's like about 101 or 102. Let's play this back. That's better. So 103 right here. Now we'll stop this. I'm going to go back here to the sample. I'm going to do it again. Okay? So I'm going to pitch shift to sample again. So now, what do we do this time? So, if that's the wrong one, hold it. Let's go back to cancel that. We want to go to pitch shift. That's pitch shift right there. Got to say pitch shift. And so right here, I want to go even deeper. So let's do that. Now I'll return back to home. Whoops. Home right there. And now we'll play it back. So it maintains the same BPM when I actually do the pitch shift. But the sound, I pitch it down or up, and that's what the equation does. So we go over here again, back to the sample. Let's undo that. Let's undo it again. Okay, let's do it one more time. Let's go to pitch shift while it's playing. I do this when it's playing too, it's even better. Let's see, let's go up. So it's a great way to actually go anywhere you want to go with the pitch shifting while playing it back and get an idea how it sounds with the current track or how you want to use it. It's a great feature to have here on the MPC 2 software. Let's stop that. Now the next thing I want to do is do a time stretch. So I come here, time stretch, and you can see here we can do a bunch here. So we have the function is time stretch, and then here I have the number of beats, right? Then we have the copy, or rather the original tempo here is 205, right? And the new one, I set a new one right here, and this will be the ratio, right? So I'm gonna come to here, and let's take it down some. Now it's gonna stretch it to whatever I want here. And most of the time when I do this, it's an experiment almost to try and get exactly to either upper or lower, you know, in terms of time stretching. So I'll go to here, we're gonna press this here, press do it, and play it back. It's already looped. So it's slower, a little slower it seems like. Okay, so now let's try something else. We're gonna undo that. Play it back. Well, that's good. And now we'll do it again. Go to time stretch. And I want to change the BPM ratio. make it higher actually. Let's go to about 120. Good. Now press do it. Now I'll play this one back. It's not too bad, but you hear how it actually changes the overall sound. Particularly with a drum beat. You know, those little sounds you might hear where there's some sort of echo or reverb in a hall or wherever he's at. Sometimes it just almost sounds like it's really fake, the overall sound. But this might be too extreme a time stretch as well. This could be too extreme of a time stretch as well. Okay, stop that. Okay, next, I'm gonna undo this. Play back. Good. And what I want to do next is gain change. So here's gain change. So you can see I can go down or up. So if I go up, it'll probably be too loud. Let's try that anyway. Let's give an extreme example. That's an extreme example. See that? That's just bursting at the top and the bottom. It's ridiculous. We can play it back too. That's too freaking loud, obviously. But you get the idea. Let's undo that. So it's simple. It gains. Get a larger gain amount out of this sample. It's going to just expand it more. It gets louder. All kind of noise might happen in there sometimes. But in this case, that didn't happen. And it works the same way when you actually go down, when you gain. So if I come to gain, and I say I want to go down now, you'll notice for sure, though, that you don't get so much of this artifact stuff going on. You get almost exactly what it is. Let's play this back. That's crazy quiet. Hit this again. And that's gain change. Let's undo that. Now next we have is copy. Very simple thing, copy a sample. I come here, I just copy a sample. I make a new one. It'll automatically make the new one for you too as well. It says right here, hot loop, and it says 100 BPM, and it says number 4. That's kind of cool. It just makes the actual setting for you. And cancel that out. So next I want to look at here, this one here, this sample, and we'll look at bit depth. So right here under copy, after all these functions I have here, we're going to go here to bit reduction or bit reduce. So I'll do this here. You see this happen here, and I can set the bit depth. So it's fully 16 right now, right? So I can reduce it. Let's say reduce it to 12. And we'll press do it. So now it's been reduced. I'll play it back. So you can barely hear that. Let's undo that. Keep playing. Let's do it again. Let's go down further. 4. Now that's kind of raw right there. That's bit reduction. Let's undo that. So I hardly ever, never, ever use that. Okay, but you might want to use it. I have no idea. Next we have stereo to mono. Click on here. This is pretty simple. 2 tracks into 1. So the source would be the left track. I can select my source, which will create the whole thing, which would be, let's say, right in this case. And then, okay, this is going to be it. Okay, good. We're going to say, okay, do it. And once it does, it's pretty obvious that, wait, it's all the same, right? They just took one track and created another track. So, and you can hear it. It's kind of like got this weird sound to it. And I'll play it here. You don't hear the stereo anymore. It's just one file. Stop that. Now let's let's undo that. Cool. We're back to where we were at before. Now also, this has been trim. I've been in trim here, and we see these functions are for trim. Now I can also get to here in trim. I can change and trim slices. So let's say I've got link slices, right? And suppose I did that, I'll come to here like this. I can go to the front, but this is in increments of 1. The next row is in increments of 10. The next increments of 100. The next one's in increments of 1,000. So we can move further down the line with this one here. This will be the end, and this will be the start. I can change my start and end points of sections of a sample. Pretty simple. Now this is the zero crossing right here, the snap mode. And what the zero crossing is about, there's this area in a sample where it gets really quiet. That area will be the area right here, right in here, where it's like, not quiet, but where it's like not in transition like you see here, where the waveform is much bigger and it spikes up a little bit more. And so you want to make sure when you are samples and using samples and you are into sampling, you want to make sure that you can chop samples together so it never has a pop or a click where it was chopped on a beat. You want to make sure it's chopped at the zero crossing. That way it's really quiet. And that's how you work this here. Now next, we're going to talk about chopping next. Now this next lesson is about chopping. The first one was trimming. Now we're going to chop. We're going to chop up sections of this sample like we're a butcher in the store and chopping up some meat. And we're going to make each section work. And in order to chop them up, I need to make sure I know where I'm going to chop it at. So what I'll normally do is I'll put the whole thing back. I'll just count out to myself. I might chop each bar. Then I'll click right here inside this sample area right here, and then it stops. That means play all sample. The next one here means play sample. Essentially, it does the same thing. I'll stop this. Let's get busy. What's going to happen here is that I'm going to play the sample from the top. I will keep hitting these pads with my cursor here. Each time I hit a pad, it'll put a chop along these samples right here. So let's get busy. Okay. Okay, it's all done. Perfect. So now, as you can see here, these pads, I get clicking on them, I can come back here and play any chop I want. So if I go to here. So you see what I'm doing now? I just chopped on the beat, on the downbeat. That first beat of each measure, I chopped it in. So they're all just chops. Now this is the chop, the first one. That's a chop right there. Now sometimes I'd be off, like I'm testing my chops out. So the first one is off a little bit. So what you can do, you come in here. So I'm gonna get real close here. So you want to go to your first sample, right? And you can see your range, right? I can drag this here on top. I can drag to my range, right? So I can be in my first range here, and rather than using the little triangle here on the edge here of this view, I'll just move this little sliding guideline here anywhere I want. Pretty cool. So I get back to here. I see I'm not actually on that first bass drum. So I can move this over a little bit, right? So the first one here. So I can come to here and I can move it a little bit more over to there. Now hit the pad. That's right. Okay, good. So now I'm going to move this second one over here a little bit. That's good. My next one's going to be that's off, right? So I can play the first notes off to the second one. So I'll do this again. Right? So I want to come to this next one here. That's a snare drum. Don't want the snare drum there. Should be a bass drum there. So I will come here and I can move this one. Let's grab this one right here and move it a little bit. Let's get this again. Let's click on here. Let's click on this. Go back. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this piece right here. There you go. I move it right here. And so I can set each one of these samples up to play that way. Now I'm just playing these samples now with my keyboard. Okay, so this one's off. All right, so I get that one done. That's the fourth one, right? So I want to just come here, grab this, move this over here like this. And you can see as I hit these pads, you see them as they light up here as I trigger them. Now, why this is cool, you can come up with a little program and do something with this totally. And this is how we do it. I can come to here. I say extract new samples, new program. I can get to here, non-destructive, convert new program. So now I've got each sample set up from the beginning. If I hit a pad, it'll put that sample into view. You'll see the beginning of that sample. I've gotten the start point perfect. That's the third one. That's the fourth one. That's the fifth one. Now this could be a little bit tighter. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna just grab this little bad boy and move it a little closer to that and try. That's better. I'll do the next one. Number 7, 8. That's good. That's right. Okay, so you see what happened? I just want to make sure I've got the chopping close enough. Once I set my start point, that's also the end of the previous sample size. Makes it easy for us to get this done. And once that's done, again, I can come back and create a brand new program again. If I didn't like that first program, I want to change that program. Right, so I'll come back to here. I'll do this. Yep. Same thing. We're going to say, do it. We got a new program. Now, if I like that new program, it's going to take over. So I go back to here. Yeah, this is the new program I got. Now I like the way this program sounds. And this is cool. Then I get to play it. Okay, got it. So now what we can do, we can go back to home and sort of make up something, right? So I got a 16-bar loop going on here. And then what I want to do is play it from the top. I'll press record, and then we're going to press play. That's it. But as you can see what I've been doing, just trying to play with the little beats, play something from the top. So just playing around with the beats here. It's nothing really special, but you got to get used to it. First thing to do, of course, lay down a drum pattern first or something. But I want to give you just an idea of what you can do with chops, and this is called the lazy chop. So now I've got a sample I want to chop up, another one right here, and I'll play it from the top and just start chopping. So I'll go to play all, then I'll hit a pad each time to chop the samples up. Let's go to here.
Me, but I was deaf. It was all kind hard to resist. Living lie, yeah. Living lie, yeah. Never likes me, but I was deaf. It was all kind hard to resist. Living lie, yeah. Living lie, yeah.
Got that. So now I'm gonna chop them up, get what I want to get out of this thing here. So I'll hit the first one.
It was all kind hard to it was all kind hard to resist.
So I might want to do something different here. So let's say I want to come into here and go like this a little bit. No, let's not do that. I want to probably look at this again. Let's do this again here. Good. Here we go. Oh, let's redo that. Okay, last one's in. Perfect. So let me go to this first one here again and turn my...
It was all...
Okay, I want to zoom in on that one. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Here we go. I hit that one time. I can slide now. See that? And now I know what I want to do. So I'm going to hit this one. Nothing's there for me. So I'm going to grab this.
It was all kind hard to resist. It was all kind hard to resist. It was all kind hard to resist. It was all kind hard to resist.
So it cuts itself a little bit too much for me. I'll pull this out to here, right?
It was all kind hard to resist.
That's cool right there. Now, I'll do the next one.
Living lie.
So I'm going to come on that who a lot more, right?
Living lie, yeah. Living lie, yeah. Living lie,
I like
yeah.
that. Look close.
Living lie, yeah.
I like that.
Living lie, yeah.
I'm going to pull the breath off, though. So I'm going to bring this back a little bit more here. And I want to get rid of that breath, so I don't want the breath too much right there. But I'll do that later on. Let's go to the next one.
Living lie, yeah.
That's good. Next one.
Living lie, yeah.
Yeah, I may have to keep the breath, actually. It's probably for the singing type feel to it, right? So I may keep that and just go to here, the next part. What's this next one going to be? This is going to be...
Never likes me, but I was deaf.
What the hell is that?
Oh,
that's that sucking wind right there.
But I was never likes me, but I was deaf. Never likes me, but I was deaf.
That sounds good. So next one.
It was all kind.
Get rid of that breath there again. We're going to come right on the vocal.
It was all kind.
That's pretty good there. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. Oh, let's undo that. Sometimes you drag it, you're really screwing it up. So I'm drag the whole piece there. There you go. Drag that like that and go like this.
Living lie,
I might take it back a little hair. A hair more. Okay, that's good. Perfect. Then. Okay, so he says it twice. That's good. Then my last one. Got that. Okay, so I got my sound system.
It was all kind hard to resist. Living lie, yeah. Living lie, yeah.
Okay, make sure that's right. Okay, sounds cool. So I got the parts I like. And that's how we chop it up, right? So I can see this already. I'll go back out of here like this. I can see all my sample chops. I want to create myself something else here, right? So another program, obviously you feel it coming on, so I'll do a program again. So I want to do a program for this next joint here. So how many programs have we got here set up for this one here? Okay, we got a couple. So I want to use a new program. And so we're just going to go here and make a new program. Bam! New program's made. Pop this in here. Okay. Type. Good, good, good. Do that. So a new program's made for me. So now I want to go back over to here. And then I want to mute that part out. This part right here. Well, actually, just get rid of that.
It was all kind hard to resist. Who live a lie, living liar? Who live a lie, living liar? Never exposed me, but I was up. It was all kind hard to resist.
Okay, stop that. So now you get the idea. Cut that out, right? So now we know what we're gonna do. I'm get rid of that. It's still playing. That sample's still going on. So I want to get this part right here, this track right here, and then I'm gonna play it out. So this is the track. See that? That's the track right there. And now I want to play the samples to this track. So I need that program. So what I want to do here is I've gotten rid of the actual play of that track there. I'm gonna make a brand new track. So I go to new track right here, and then I want to find the program for that track, right? So we're gonna find out what that's gonna be. So it might be, which one's it gonna be? The new circle there, the vocal right here, this one right here, right? So this is gonna be the track right there. I'm gonna use this one, right? And I'm gonna use this one, this program, and then I'm gonna play this program along with the actual track. So I'll press play. So you get my idea, right? So I took the samples, chopped them out, and I can make a beat or actually make new vocal parts with the chops. Now, so I've got my sample program. I want to add something later on. I may come back in here and say, well, you know, I want to add right there. I just added another point, a start point from another sample piece, in case I want to get another section. And I increase the number of samples now. Let's undo that. And we're back to 9 now. I took the first sample and brought that in by doing that, by creating another slice that I moved that slice in line and the rest moved down. So you can always keep adding slices in. Once I've added slices in or made certain chops better, I can do something else to them. Like, for example, this one here, I'm not too sure. That's about 6.
It was all kind hard to resist.
I could change that actually. So I can get to here. I'll put a slice right here. Right, there you go. And now I want to check it out.
It was all kind hard to resist.
Now I'm going to move in a little bit more. Get a little good eye. Okay, I know I want to move this over a little bit more. Oops, right here, move the green point. The green part right here to there. Right, to resist. All right, great. So now I'll zoom back out again. And we see here now we have 10 samples within the program. So I got my samples in. Okay, good. Let's play it back. I've got them all put in right here, placed in right. Let's go back to track 1, add some parts in. Okay, good. Go back to the beginning again. Now go back to track number 3. Add parts in. These parts here. So it's muted. unmuted here. So I double those up. So it's pretty simple to do. You chop the samples up, you put them in, you place them in. I've got some samples here that are actually just repeating what the first one does. And I'm going to take these right here, which is going to be this one and this track here. So I hit those pads. I can come to here, for example, and then put something on top of this track right here. We're going to like some vocals. Look for some vocal stuff here in the wave, in the actual air program. And we can go to harmonizer right there. That's weird, right? So let's play that. So we got some more parts added like that. So I added a harmonizer on top of that. It changes the whole thing around. So it's always cool to chop some vocals up, make some parts in. Once you learn this, it's really fun to do, and you can make people go like, wow, it sounds great. Now this is our preference window for the MPC software. Let's close this out. Now it's right here. We have the MPC, and it's called settings, not preferences. Now it's an easy keyboard command. It's command, comma, and the window opens up. So the first option we have here is audio device. Now I'm on a computer. This is all about being on a computer, obviously. So of course it has the output of the speakers that are on a computer, or wherever that computer sends its output to. And of course I'm using a MacBook Pro. So you can see it's a MacBook Pro with a microphone, right? And so as I talk, you notice here this green meter, actually this VU meter, when I stop talking, talk again, it lights up, right? So we know there's audio going in. Now I can do a test as well sometimes. I do this test when I'm trying to send it to a speaker. And you hear that test tone. Now next, below here we have sample rate. Now the sample rates are pretty much standard as they have been for a long time. So here we got 44.1, 48, 820, rather 8200, and 96. So these are various sample rates. Now if you do 96, that's a pretty high sample rate. Every time you record, the files will be big. No, massive, let's say. That's better. Massive, large files at this sample rate. The fidelity will be awesome, right? But it's not necessary to have that. 88, it's awesome too. But the files will be big. Now 48 hertz, won't be as big, but this is a cool sample rate though. We like it. But currently I'm using 44.1. That's mine. Just for me, I prefer it that way. I don't want everything to be so pristine and high end. I want to get right into a nice range that I feel that works for my music. Now, next we have the buffer size, and this is the audio buffer size. Now, how this works is that when you're actually recording music or recording vocals, or you're going to have a guitar player come in, he's going to play into your computer system, there's a difference from the time that he actually plays to the time you hear it. That's the delay side, because the computer must take the audio in, calculate how it's going to stand inside the software, and then ship the audio back out to you to hear it. Now, this is kind of unbelievably amazing to me, really, that this will give you 11.6 milliseconds before you hear it. That's crazy. That's amazing. Now, it's got to be better than that, though, because if a singer's singing, a singer can't sing behind the music they're hearing. It'll confuse them. They won't have that feel when they're making music and singing that part in. Guitar player, bass player as well. Anyone playing keyboard that's going to do a live keyboard session. Maybe a Leslie speakers out and you want to record it for that while the guy's playing his organ. So really, you got to be a lot closer. So in this case, as you can see here, we get this chart here, which is awesome. I prefer to go to 64. If I'm doing vocals in here, I'll do 64. And now we're at 1.5 milliseconds of a delay time between the time that someone sings or plays a bass or guitar to the time they hear it back in the system, which is amazingly accurately close, which is so awesome, really. And you can see the latency adjustment here is 2.67. Amazing. Now that's my preference. Now also, when you're going to do mixing and you're not going to do any vocals, you want to keep your buffer size higher than this. It should be, I like mine around 512, only because I'm running a MacBook Pro with an M1 Max chip. I've got tons of power. I've got 64 gigabytes of memory. So make sure you understand how much memory you have and how memory and your system works with the MPC. And that's audio device. Now next we have MIDI sync. So here we want to synchronize our MPC with other devices, even other computer software, and we want to sync it also with hardware like an MPC-1, MPC Live, MPC-X, or an MPC or an MPK rather device, which is a keyboard. And so we have these imports, right? Input ports right here. We have live, we have remote right here, as you can see. So we have global sync, we have control, and then we have track. Now next we have output. This is output ports. This concerns the output of the MIDI and the control, like MIDI machine control, to control another device. And so we have the AKAI network, DAW control, and then we have here below that the AKAI network MIDI. And it's either sync and track. And here we can reset the ports right here. These are all for resets. And also, this on switch is for enable MIDI ports when discovered. So when it sees a MIDI port, it'll enable it and it'll be ready for access. Now next we have sync receive, and this is on. This is for our MIDI machine control to receive a MIDI control. Below here we have Ableton start stop sync, and this is for syncing also. Then we have receive, and this is also for sync receiving that. Then we have sync send. This is for MIDI machine control to send it out, right? And here, of course, the same thing is sync, that's MIDI clock. We have MTC, which is frame rate. Now the frame rate concerns how, if you're doing film. If you do film, the rate in America is about 30 non-drop. And if you're doing film in Europe, it's less than that. And we can come to here, all the frame rates are here. We have 24, 25, 30, and 30 non-drop. Now in Europe, it could be 25 or 24. And this will give you our start time, so you know when the sync starts. And certain sync points, if you want to look at them too as well. And below here we have MIDI input. So filter all notes off CC. Click that on. That's on. And here also we have program changes. I can send program changes from one device, like my MPC 2.12 software, out to other devices to control their control function. Like I can send it to a keyboard and tell it to play this string section or play this synth section and the bass. Pretty cool. And that's our MIDI sync. Now next we have our active plugins. So a lot of the stuff that's happened over the last couple of years, actually around since 2022, they've added a lot of plugins for keyboards when the MPC Key 61 came out. And you'll see here that those are also available here. I have a lot of them actually. So they're all here for me. You'll see it's deactivated. If I want to deactivate that, I also can see they're checked right here. They're activated. You can see right here. Some just came with the system like Hype, Mellotron, Selena, and Odyssey also. Now, some of them that you get a trial for. So I got a trial for a few of these plugins like MIDI. And I also got this new one, Jura, which is a pretty good plugin. Like an old 80s type plugin. And then we have the Air Flavor Pro, and we also have the Air Delay Pro. Now, these were trials. Now, when I stopped the trial, I didn't want to buy the actual plugin. I have a different one anyway I use. And so here, you'll see it says not active. And if a plugin you're trying to find out if it's good or not, you will also get to enter a serial number of that product. And this way you can register the product once you get in here. Now, a lot of times if you're trying to make sure you're in sync, you know if your plugins are anywhere you can't find them, you also want to sync with the InMusic Software Center. Like for example, I'll come down to here, I've got it right here, and this is my InMusic Software Center. Now, once it comes on here, you'll see right here, this is actually the newest setup for it. They've improved it a lot over the years. It'll come up here. Eventually, I'm going to see this. There it is, the InMusic Software Center. And then here I have my list of everything I own and all the stuff I've bought or actually was given to me. So here, for example, here's all the software. I have this software MPC2, MPC Beats. Here's the firmware. If I need a firmware update, I can automatically do it now directly through the InMusic Software Center right here. I can also add drivers. I have just got an MPC 1 Plus, and you see it's installed. It understands that. It's talking to me, let me know I know what you got. I see it already. Beautiful. Now also, not just that, but the expansions we're talking about and the hardware. So here, I have expansions as well, right? And then there's all the software. And you'll see everything I mentioned just now recently, Fabric. Everything's right here, which is amazing. So it makes it easier for you to actually make sure that this active plugins list matches what you have, and you want to make sure either deactivated or activated. They're always going to be in that system, which helps you out a whole lot. Now, next up, we have plugins. And this is our next thing. As you can see here, it says VST folders. So I run VSTs. I think a lot of people are getting free VSTs like I have. I've got some free ones. I've got Wave. I've got all kinds of VSTs that I prefer to use and check them out and use them. And so it's kind of cool to have them. And to scan for them is even better. I come here when I rescan. I start the rescan. Look what happens. It's scanning my system. It's saying, okay, yay, whatever. It's looking at every VST I have and searching my entire system. Here's one, crashed. That one right there crashed. And you'll see this list come up. Now, as this list runs along, the software is analyzing all the VSTs in your system, whether they be VST1s, VST2s, or VST3s. Even though it won't play VST3s, it'll put the VST3s in a list that they can't touch, obviously. And if you're in the middle of a scan, you can always cancel your scan too if you'd like to. Now, they also play audio units. So we got those, so I can use the audio units as well. Because some people make a VST3, and they also make an audio unit too as well. That way they know they can get around anything else. So that's a beautiful thing, really. I like that a lot, really. And so as it scans, it continually looks for more stuff. So this is a great section to understand and to realize if those VSTs work or those audio units work or not. It's perfect. Now, I'm in the middle of a scan right now, but I know this works. For the purpose of this video, I pulled it up, but I can cancel at the same time. I cancel, ignore, ignore, ignore. See that? Pretty cool. Now, next we have the sequencer into this thing. And so the beauty of using the MPC system is you have the control over your sequencer. So I have the playback. It could be instant track mute. So I can have instant track mute when I'm playing back, let's say, a sample or something. I also have play, track, mute, and solo events. So when I have those events, it'll play them back. Also, we have recording. Record, arming, single. So I can do single. So for example, if I'm going to record a vocal, I can record a vocal. I can record a guitar. But I can't record multiple stuff. But if I go to multiple, Let's say I got a drummer in the house. There's a drummer I want to record. I've got my system set up, and I got 5 mics on this drummer. Then I want to do multiple recording of multiple tracks. That works pretty cool. In my case, it's single. It's all just single generally. Now we have record track mute and solo events selected. Record pad aftertouch events, that's selected as well. And place events recorded during count-in at the start. Now this is important because whenever you start the machine and you go on the 1, you want that beat to go on the 1. You might miss it or miss hitting it, but this way it makes it accurate from the beginning. And then the rest of it you do play will be based on how well you play the particular part you're going to play. And it also suggests that even with timing correction, that first note will be the first note played in the first beat, if you do play one there. Okay, we also have truncate duration to sequence length. So duration means in time. If I play something for a long time, I press a pad down, and it's for longer than the sequence, it's not going to record after the sequence. It's okay, that's it, I'm cutting it off there. So it's based on the length of the sequence that this part will be played. Now next we have edit. Q-Link swing control applies TC settings on release. That's now swing control. I may want to swing a feel of this particular sequence. I can use Q-Link swing control and apply it to timing correction. Now also, there's PPQNs. And this is like the distance between one note and the next note. How many spaces are there to put there? So the most complicated one is 960 PPQNs. Pulses per quarter note. And that's a lot of places to go. But sometimes if you're actually going to do recording and you want to do something that's going to be moving a little bit here, a little bit there, 960 PPQNs is really good. But in my case, I'm not doing that in this particular session. But when I do fine tuning, I will do that. When I want to get this feel that's almost live, and I sort of move drum parts a little bit here and there, then add some sort of swing value to it, it sounds dope, but it takes a while to get it done. And that's our sequencing section. Now here in hardware, we have pad sensitivity. I want to see how sensitive the strike on that pad is. I can do that here with the threshold level. And normal works out great for me, as it does here. But if you want to change it, it's pretty simple. You just want to go inside here and change those parameters. Whether here, pad curve, whatever that is, also as well. We also have pad velocity, pad threshold. We also have foot switch control. Here, we have foot switch control for 2. We have disabled when MPC not running, this display is, right? So it's not running, it's disabled. I have screen dimming, which I can do from here too as well, but I'd rather do it from the other part of the software. Now, show hardware info. I click there, I'll see hardware info if I have an MPC hooked up to my system. Now we also have flash tap tempo. Now this is important sometimes when you're actually making up music and you want to get to feel what that tempo is. It will flash the tempo off and on based on the BPM of the session. And then we have general stuff here too. We're going to have like bank button presses here. So you see that's A to D, A to D. I can do select and toggle a bank. Pretty simple. And here we also have shift plus Q-Link press equals Q-Link edit. And I could cycle backwards also if I want to do that too, depending on what I select here. Now, the last thing we have is the global pitch and bend settings. So this is pretty simple. I'm going to bend something like a bended sound, like a wobbling sound. And I can also sort of like change the range of how much it bends, the pitch, and how far the range is up or down. And you can change that right here in this setting under global pitch bend settings. And that's our hardware. Now let's look at project. So here for project, this is pretty simple stuff. When you first start a project, there's a default setting inside this MPC software. Also on the standalones as well. So default tempo in this case is going to be 120. Default global tempo is off. So for example, global means that if I make a global tempo, then that tempo, in this case is 120. Every time I make a brand new sequence, it'll be 120. And if I start making a song, it's going to be 120. And all songs will be 120. That's global. But if I want to change it, I select default global tempo off. That's easier. My default bars and sequence is going to be 4 bars. My default time signature is 4/4. Default pad slice is all. All pads can be made for a slice. I can slice samples for 16 pads. One big sample, right? I can default drum and key group filters. So the default filter here will be low pass 2-pole filter. I'll click on here and we have a selection of many different filters you want to use. But this is the standard use of this low pass filter, which is cool. I have no problem. I can always change that. My default plugin. If I choose a plugin to go into my software, I'm looking for something right now, I pick a plugin and I pick something, the first thing that comes up, if it says plugin there, will be Fabric XL. Then we have new project creation. I can show new project dialog. Default, template, and recent. Now you see this all the time when you actually start up your MPC. Once you start using it, you will see that I have several different tracks like I did in the beginning, where I had on top was a template, below there were the demos from AKAI, and below there were the projects I was working on. And that's what this stands for. I can also change that right here to off. And that's our project default. Okay, so next we have here is project load and save. It's pretty simple. I can have auto load, right? So it would just load in a project I select. Let's say I want it to load every time with the same project. Cancel that out. I don't like that unless I got a project I'm working on. Currently, it has to be worked on, like, let's say I'm doing a big song or film score or something, and I have a big project I need to do. I want to do it every day. Sure, that's no problem. Auto save is good too. I can go auto save. I select this right here. I'm going to auto save. I can do 5 minutes. I can do 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just depends on what you select here. But I tend to auto save all the time myself because I've been doing it for years. But for a beginner, you should probably auto save at least every 5 or 2 minutes just to get started with. And sometimes it'll stop you. What you're doing, it'll stop you. Now, wait a minute. It's going to start to save your stuff, which nothing's wrong with it, I believe. So, but if you don't like that, you can turn it off, go to 10 minutes, find what works for you best. Then we have template file. So it's a template file that you're going to use. Let's say if you're doing hip hop, you want a specific way this whole setup's going to work for you. It's going to be this here, going to be that there. You're going to have a certain setup for the output. So this will be a template. You save it as a template, and you'll name it template. And here you see it'll be a .xpj file. You'll navigate to that file, and that will be your template you'll use whenever you pull your MPC up and you break out a track and using this template. You know this is going to be here, that's going to be there, this is going to be like this. It's perfect to have that opening setup. Now next we have the record export. Now this is really important. When you make a project or a song, you're working on something, you want to probably export that sound somewhere. Maybe to a rapper, a singer, a conductor. I have no idea who you're going to send it to. Maybe even send it to somebody at a club so he knows how your stuff sounds, right? Before you go in there as a DJ and present your stuff. So you want to know the recording bit depth. In this case, it's going to be 16. Now, I do prefer to go to 24, which is right there. Boom. 24 is my thing. And then we have audio bounce. So a lot of times you make this file and you want to send it back out to somebody, it's a bounce file. And how this works is you're going to take that file and play it somewhere. But suppose you have audio and you got reverb and delay. Song's going to end a little bit soon, right? The music has stopped, but the delay and the reverb are continuing on. And you want to capture that also inside of this mix. And that's what it means here when it says audio tail length. How long is the end going to be? I myself prefer 2. That's about almost 2 seconds there. Now we have to include program volume pan settings. So I can have volume moving up and down and the panning turn left to right. I can bypass program effects. I might have a reverb, a delay, a chorus, all kind of stuff going on. I may not want to have that in this specific bounce file. So I may get rid of that too. In this case, it says no. And of course, main output would be the main output from the main fader, which would be the master fader. And here we also have export, the MIDI export track. And we have the bounce depth, or the bit depth for that bounce file, which is cool. Now I prefer 24, that's just me, boom, that's it. And next we have general. This is just general stuff you should probably know to do or to have in here. For example, there's a mode in here for old SP1200s and MPC 60s. You'll get here and you'll see that right here. We've got the the MPC 3000, the MPC 60, the SP1200, and the SP1200 with that ring type feature it has. I prefer this actually over a lot of plugins because I know just how to make it sound right, but do what you need to do, actually. And here we go, audition and preview. So I can audition autoplay, right? Unlimited. Audition outputs, 1 and 2. Cue review or preview right here. Slice preview right here. This is off. Keep those off. Audio warp and BPM detect. So in this case, audio warp, a logarithm, elasticity, elastic pro. How can I describe this? This is the best way or the best logarithm that works for when I'm taking the sample, let's say I put inside a system and I line it up, and if I move the BPM up or down, it will maintain the same speed and the same BPM, no matter whether I'm being 120 or 100, it will not change. It'll just move to that particular beat, which is really great. Audio tracks, auto warp, that happens too. Like when you actually listen back to something inside the software and the current tempo you have is, let's say, 120, it might make sure it plays back at 120. Then we have BPM detection range. So this range could be from 58 to 195 BPM to detect that BPM's range. Next we have mode menu. Show mode shortcut panel, which it does already. And the rest of this, I just use this all the time. So this is just my setup here. I think it works for everybody actually. So we have this section here called General, allow multiple plugin windows. Beautiful. I have a compressor, an EQ, and let's say a gate. I want to see them all at the same time so I can make sure that when I hear the sound first, it goes through the EQ. Then I want to compress something. Then I may want to gate out a few frequencies. Like a girl's doing vocals, right? She's singing in my track, and the problem will be she has earrings on or a bracelet that's making noise. And so I want to keep the vocal, let's say. It's very little, so I may just EQ the sound, make sure I got her voice perfect, then compress and make sure it's tight. And I might make a gate so that when she stops singing, the gate comes in and stops any audio level from seeping into the track. So that means the gate lets your voice come and cuts your voice off when it goes, so there's no noise from the track. Now next here, we have show mode shortcut panel. That's in there, okay? Love that. Allow multiple plugin windows. We've got that already. So everything's right here, made for us to deal with. As you can see, Q-Link, playhead, increment, perfect. That's like 16th notes. And then collect usage statistics. This is cool. They can send it back to AKAI. They can improve the system. And we have multi-process threads. Very simple stuff. Any questions about anything here in preferences, you should read in the manual to get more in depth with it.